everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, a special episode of Ring Post Radio here today, because we are pre-recording this to preview Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty for New Japan, and I guess New Japan, AEW, CMLL, Ring of Honor, Stardom. Yep, Stardom as well. Just everyone, just the whole. It's the melting pot.
You included Ring of Honor, but you didn't include the company that's real. Okay.
Fair enough. I guess. I am your host, Ryan Knightsey, and with me, as always, is Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing? I guess. Well, I don't know.
I'm doing great. It's Wrestle Kingdom season. Time to be excited. You could feel that time coming. You know, every time we get to this part of the year, at least for me, I don't care about like the old stuff, like the current December stuff. I'm like, all right, let's get there. You know, that's kind of how I start to feel, and that's where I'm at mentally as we get ready to record this. Obviously, this is a big Wrestle Kingdom in terms of building towards the future of New Japan and what that's supposed to look like after, you know, last year kind of being an end of an era and all that. So I'm very excited to talk about it. I'm very excited we have brand new guests to the show as well to talk about it.
Yes, as we discussed, we were going to have Chris Sampson on originally, but due to a family emergency, he could not make the episode. So we, wish well for Chris Sampson and his family during this current time. But we have gotten a different New Japan special correspondent to fly in last second. I am so happy that he was able to say yes to this, and that he frequents Blue Sky enough to see my message. We have with us today one half of Keeping It Strong Style on the Social Suplex Network, Jeremy Donovan, joining us today on Ring Post Radio. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Yeah, no problem, Ryan. Scotty, thanks for reaching out. Happy to be here. I'm always excited to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like you said, it's that the most wonderful time of the year as we get ready for the Tokyo Dome, January 4th, and all the great New Year stuff that will be happening in Japan, kind of kicking off the year. Start filling up our notebooks with all the great matches. So yeah, definitely excited to be here and talk to New Japan with you guys.
Yeah, we got a jam-packed show, of course. Every year we always preview Wrestle Kingdom. This year, and sometimes those years are a double show event. This year we got a one night of Wrestle Kingdom, one night of Wrestle Dynasty, the new sort of pay-per-view show, big-time event that's in the conglomeration melting pot of all these companies. So a lot to talk about. We're not just really talking about New Japan, I guess. We're going to talk about AEW and Stardom and I guess CMLL. I don't know. I don't think we're going to have much deep discussions about CMLL or Ring of Honor here, but I guess we'll have something here. So very excited to talk about it. And I guess we'll start off first, Jeremy, just to get a vibe check from you. I guess number one, how do you think New Japan has done in 2024, and how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Wrestle Kingdom in January 4th?
Yeah, so as far as New Japan's 2024, I feel like they've had a kind of a roller coaster year. I feel like it's been very up and down. I feel like there's been some booking calls that have been very good, and like they build some momentum up, and then they do something crazy and they kind of lose it. And so I feel like it's kind of had like a lot of ebbs and flows, which you can kind of expect in a rebuilding year. Also, we lost Okada and Ospreay at the beginning of the year, and they weren't really planned for it, and so they're kind of flying to see their pants or trying different things or starting to push some of the younger guys. So I feel like some things were great, some things were a miss, and so overall, just kind of a fine year for New Japan. As far as my excitement for Wrestle Kingdom, I'm actually pretty excited for it just because of how the card is shaking up. I mean, there's a lot of the younger guys in big positions. Obviously, Shota Umino in the main event. Tsuji's getting a global title shot. You got Vegeta in the junior tag title mix. So a lot of the younger next gen guys are kind of finally getting like big spots at the Tokyo Dome, and it's kind of very unpredictable because Gato's been doing a lot of things that he just doesn't normally do. The first time in a long time we're having a main event with two first-timer main events, which hasn't happened in a very long time. It's very rare that you have two new guys completely in the main event scene at Tokyo Dome. So it's very unpredictable. I think it's very exciting. So yeah, I would say I'm at the 9 for Wrestle Kingdom.
Wow, pretty good. Plus new president as well, right? We have
yes, right, yeah.
The behind the scenes structure has changed as well. I'll talk about this, or I have already talked about this. We're recording in the wrong order. I have already talked about this for our year in review show that it came out last week. And my big point that I had there is that I felt like 2024 overall with a lot of wrestling promotions was a big transitional year. And I think New Japan was a big part of that. Obviously, the start of the year, losing Zack, losing Okada. Sorry, not Zack, losing Ospreay and losing Okada. And then just sort of the elevation of sort of the younger guys, kind of, elevating them successfully. And then someone gets injured, or, so elevating one guy and then he gets kind of promptly booed by the crowd. These sort of things. It's a good transition year. I think rebuilding year is also a really good phrase. Scotty, what are your thoughts on 2024 New Japan, and how excited are you for Wrestle Kingdom right now?
It's weird for me. I talked about it, like, it's the time of year, so I'm a little bit more excited. When the cards originally come out, you're like, yeah, okay, fine, sure. But as you get closer and you look at the matches, you're like, okay, that could steal the show, that could steal the year. And we're coming off a Strong Style Evolve recently, where I got to see Shingo and Takeshita share the ring for the first time, and I was like, all right, we're in it now.
Yeah,
we're in
that
it
was
now.
great.
Yeah. So like when you get matches like that to start pumping you up for what's to come, I think that really helps. That's kind of what wrestling is, after all. It's building to the big match, and ultimately that is what Wrestle Kingdom is the biggest. And New Japan this year, we've talked about it time and time and time again. It's been ups, it's been downs, but I feel like with the G1 and on, it's mostly been a steady climb for this promotion. It feels like Wrestle Kingdom can be the celebration of them bouncing back from no more Okada, no more Ospreay, going with Nick Nemeth and Matt Riddle as instant replacements.
Yeah,
when I talk about some of those lows, that was some of the lows.
Yeah, like it's forgotten.
It begs the question of who's going to be the Nick Nemeth and Matt Riddle of this year's Wrestle Kingdom. Who's available?
Hey, listen, I'll put my hands up. I was stupidly interested in the Nick Nemeth aspect of things, and I was wrong. Okay, I was never.
I don't believe I gave Nick Nemeth the benefit of the doubt. Dolph Ziggler had a lot of really good matches in WWE, and I was kind of seeing like he was that one guy that they didn't want to push because he wanted to be a pro wrestler. I'm like, all right, here's your shot, here's your chance. Let's see what you've been holding back all these years. And he did a lot of interviews too. Like, yeah, it's make or break for me in New Japan, and yeah, he got the chances, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a natural fit. Like watching him and Tomohiro Ishii wrestle was not
I forgot about that.
To me.
It was weird.
That's the one I look at the most. I'm like, that was weird. Like everything about that match specifically was just like a weird part of the year to watch. It was a US show.
Probably his best match that he had in
Japan. Funny enough, it was. But as I look at this year, like I started the year off like, oh, this David Finlay guy. Now I end this year like, yeah, this David Finlay guy. Like this is my guy now.
We need a rebel.
Yeah, exactly. We do need a rebel. Yeah. And like that's the thing with New Japan. It's been, and I started the year off high on Shoto. I'm ending the year like, please get out of my face, So like it's different.
Yeah, it's a year transition for sure for Scotty.
But my excitement level remains at least like a 7.5, gonna be an 8 by the time we get to the end of the year. And by the time I'm sitting down to watch the show live, it's gonna be all the way at the top, because that's just how this goes every single year. And when I'm watching, like I said, when I'm watching Takeshita and Shingo steal the show in the Tokyo Dome, I'm going to be through the roof. So like, that's the beauty. The beauty of Wrestle Kingdom is, you're going to get great wrestling. And that's why we watch these things, right? We're watching for great wrestling.
Oh, well, then let's get into it. Wrestle Kingdom 19, of course, in the Tokyo Dome, January 4th. We have a full match card in order, so let's go through it first. Starting off with match number 1 is, of the main card, I guess. I presume there's going to be a Rambo and all that stuff, but I don't have it here listed here on their actual website. That's fine. IWGP Junior Tag Team title match 4-way here. We got the International Jet Setters, Kevin Knight and Kushida, taking on the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles, against the War Dogs, Clark Connors and Drill Maloney, versus United Empire, TJP and Francisco Akira. Jeremy, of course, as the guest, we'll start with you. Thoughts what are your thoughts on this opening 4-way IWGP Junior Tag Team title match?
Yeah, I mean, this just kind of screams traditional Wrestle Kingdom. You always know you're going to have a good card when you start off with like this kind of junior 4-way. We've seen in the past, we had the Bucks and Red Dragon and Roppongi Vice, Roppongi 3K. You always start off with a good high pace, junior match to get the card star to get you on the right pace for the show. And yeah, this is going to be great. These are the 4 teams that have kind of rebuilt the junior tag division in the last couple of years. They've kind of put the division on their back, and we've seen a lot of great rivalries between these teams throughout the last couple of years. So I'm very excited for this match. I know a lot of people were a little frustrated. It ended up being a 4-way because you had Ichiban Sweet Boys win the Super Junior Tag League. And it's like, all right, why aren't we just getting Ichiban Sweet Boys versus Jet Setters? We're getting it on Road to Tokyo Dome. Why aren't we just doing it in the Dome? And I kind of get those complaints, but I mean, it's Wrestle Kingdom, it's Gato, it's a 4-way. I was expecting that they were going to do something like this as we were previewing the tournament. And so it's exactly what they did. And you kind of want to get those guys on the card. I mean, all 4 teams have been busting their butts all year, and I know that you can't always fit everybody in, but I feel like all 4 teams deserve to be on this card and be in the spotlight. And yeah, I think they're going to go crazy and have a really fun match.
Yeah, I definitely agree that you always got to start off with a hot tag team action. Little clunky about how we got to the 4-way. Obviously, you had, you have, the Super Junior Tag League win. And then the champions come out and say, you know what, let's just challenge both of you guys. And then the War Dogs come out and say, hey, we got chairs. We're going to threaten with violence to get in this 3-way into a 4-way now. Little clunky, weird way to get into it this time around. But, at the end of the day, I'm expecting a really great high action match. Scotty, what are your thoughts about this 4-way?
Oftentimes, as many people know that listen to the show, I can be a traditionalist when it comes to the big matches, right? Like, I want 1-on-1, I want 2 versus 2. When it comes to the junior tag at Wrestle Kingdom, I don't want 2 versus 2. I want the big, crazy match that goes 10 minutes and it's just high flying action the whole time. Like, that's what I want, and I think this is okay. I look at this match and I say this is probably like the last time Kosei Fujita is in the tag match, because, you look at him and you're like, oh, he should be the next junior ace and stuff like that. So like, this could be the last time we see him opening the door for this show. And I think that's something exciting, watching him grow. Obviously, as everyone knows, I'm a big Kevin Knight fan, so I expect him to do something crazy to kick this show off. And, it's exactly what you want to start off a Wrestle Kingdom, truthfully. It just fits what's doing. And I have no complaints. I honestly have no complaints. Like, how we got there is like, all right, this is too much, but like,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, it was weird. But yeah,
as I like to say,
there.
It's just tag league. Like,
right,
I'm not gonna lose sleep about it.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Scotty, do you have a sort of prediction then of who you think will win? You said that Kosei Fujita, you don't necessarily see him being in the tag league or tag team too much more. Do you think they're not going to win? Do you think someone else is going to win, or we're going to get a retention of those belts? Especially since Kushida's no longer part of TNA. Do you think they're just going to keep the belts and stick the Kushida and Kevin Knight around?
I feel like I would take the field over the champions retaining. Like, I just feel like they love to switch tag titles, especially at this show. And obviously, the main tag belts aren't on the show this year. So I definitely see a title change. I would love to see the 2 that won tag league get the belts. I feel like that would be a nice way to be like, yeah, we gave you tag league, not the 2 versus 2 match at the Tokyo Dome, but we'll give you the belt. So I'd love to see the Ichiban Sweet Boys win the gold, and I think they will. I think they want to give Fujita his first or second big accolade. Obviously, he won tag league, and I got to remember that as I see
here. Jeremy, who do you think will win this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ichiban Sweet Boys. Also, I'm a big fan of Robbie Eagles. We got a chance to interview him a couple years ago on Keeping His Strong Style. Super cool dude, and also he's kind of in and out of New Japan. He's not full-time guy. They kind of bring him in and out for tours and for tag leagues and stuff like that. And I think he's super talented. So I'm glad he's getting an opportunity like this. And like you mentioned, Kosei Fujita, he's awesome. He's definitely going to be a future player in the junior division. So yeah, I think, give those guys Fujita his first title in New Japan, have those guys win the junior tag title, I think would be a good call there. And plus you've kind of already seen all like Catch 22, like they've had their run with it. War Dogs have had their run. And Jet Setters, this is like their second or third time they've been champion. So yeah, I think the cool move would be to have Ichiban Sweet Boys get the win here.
Yeah, I think especially with how much they see in Fujita, I think all of this sort of makes sense. Obviously they see something with him, they want to push him to something, give him that, as Scotty said, second accolade here, and then start building him up even more. Moving on to the second match, Scotty. Well, of course we're going to start with you. IWGP Women's Championship match: Mayu Iwatani versus Azumi. Defense, ninth defense here for Mayu Iwatani. If the rumors, the tea leaves, if you're going to read those, as we've discussed every once in a while on Ring Post Radio, are to be true, it feels like we might be getting a title switch. What do you think about this one here, Scotty?
Listen. Whether Mayu Iwatani leaves this company or not, it would be smart for all parties to put the belt on Azumi. I don't care if she's leaving or not. You're trying to make a star in the Tokyo Dome. Right? This doesn't happen all the time. The Stardom roster doesn't get into the Tokyo Dome all the time. Last year, they held a show before it to make, because there wasn't enough room. Mm-hmm. And this year, they get on the Tokyo Dome show. Listen, I know they're not going to get much more than maybe 10 minutes. I understand that. I'm going to complain about it.
That's all Azumi needs. Just
the high speed,
exactly.
It's
the ideal. It's the ideal matchup to put in this spot because I think they can maximize their minutes. And I think based on what Azumi has done over the past year, right? The Stephanie Vaquer match put a lot of eyes on her. The Toni Storm match put a lot of eyes on her. That Ring of Honor match back before, Ring of Honor was GCW got a lot of eyes on her. There was a lot of things that got eyes on Azumi, and she's one of their young stars that people are excited for. Why wouldn't you take the opportunity to give her the belt in the Tokyo Dome, give her a big moment? The savior for these two, unlike the first time this title was defended in the Tokyo Dome, I don't think there'll be a 5-minute Mercedes Moné entrance this time. So they
you never know. You never know.
We know she's there, so yeah. I don't know for sure. But I do think that crowning Azumi is smart. Obviously, my thoughts on Mayu and this past year and whatnot. Giving her this match is great on Stardom's behalf because last year she was very upset she didn't get this shot. But I do think after, having this belt for almost 2 years, putting over one of the young talents instead of putting over someone established is the best move by Bushiroad as a whole.
Yeah, obviously, Stardom does technically also have a match or a show after this, New Year Dream, January 3rd.
That's the day before.
Day before. She's not on that either. I don't think do they have any sort of big shows announced still in January? I don't think they do.
I don't think the anniversary shows till maybe February, first weekend of February. I don't know. Scheduling is not their strong suit. So, I don't know off the top of my head.
So if Mayu's going to lose the title, if Mayu's losing the title going out of this company, it would make sense to be here. And I do agree. I think Azumi is actually the proper person to put.
I can't stress enough whether she's leaving or not. They should still give Azumi the win.
Sure.
It's someone you're trying to build up. Her losing the belt to like a Micah or Tam does nothing for them.
I personally would have thought she would have put over like Starlight Kid or something on the way out.
Well, they're trying to put over both of them. So
I guess that's fair.
Starlight Kid has a big match on the Queendom show, so it makes sense that maybe, which just happened, by the way. This comes out that day. So
sure, yeah.
She might be champion by now.
Sure.
But yeah, they're trying to put them all over all the youth because I think that's again who they're putting their focus on and trying to keep. So Azumi getting the big spot here makes sense.
And if we have to do an Azumi versus Starlight Kid match, I guess we're gonna have to do that. Oh, twist my arm. Why won't you?
Yeah, that is a specialty.
Jeremy, thoughts on this IWGP Women's Title match?
Yeah, I agree with Scotty. I think Azumi is the right call to win this match. It should be a great match. Hopefully, they do get a little bit more than 10 minutes here. We do have a little bit of more, I feel like, focused Kingdom card here. So I feel like they should be able to get some time. These are two of the best women in Stardom. And yeah, they should go out there, have a great matchup. But yeah, Mayu's been the champion now. At this point, probably over 600 days. I think 9 defenses of the IWGP Women's title. So yeah, I don't think she needs to hold it any longer. And so yeah, why not put it on your young up and coming star in Azumi? And also Azumi is featured a lot on these New Japan of America shows, so she's somebody that can defend the title both in the US and Japan. So yeah, I think it would be a good call Yeah, Scotty said, what did she say? Well, whether Mayu staying or not, I think Azumi is a good call here.
Yeah, they could be giving it away, by the way. She is on the Battle in the Valley show. So
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
course. So perhaps she is getting the big shot, big title win here, which again, like Jeremy said, it's the right move. Again, Stardom should kind of be following what New Japan's doing, building towards the future as soon as possible, because there's mystery around contracts come March and January, March. So we'll have to wait and see. But
and then you could always plug Mayu back into the red belt scene, white belt scene. There's always stuff that she can do in Stardom outside of the IWGP Women's title picture. I think she did an excellent job kind of carrying and elevating that title, because the title was kind of created out of nowhere in New Japan that doesn't have a women's roster. And so it's kind of got set in Stardom. But I feel like she, at first title didn't really have a focus. I feel like she did a great job kind of elevating it, bringing a spotlight to it, and having great defenses in Stardom and in New Japan.
Next match here, New Japan World TV title match. It's a three-way. Jeff Cobb not Jeff Cobb not defending. I always think it's Jeff Cobb. Red Narita defending his title against Jeff Cobb and Rohei Oiwa. I mean, number one thing, I've been waving this guy's flag for a very long time. Rohei Oiwa. This is the guy who I really want to win this match, and who I think probably could and should win this match. This guy probably had the best match in Noah last year. And now he's a New Japan roster technically member. I think, putting a belt on him would be a nice change of pace. Jeff Cobb, I think, being in here can obviously do some good work, but I think he's also one of those guys like a Zack Sabre Jr., like a Taichi even, that that sort of upper mid card level crust guys that, you can sort of move up the card a little bit, that New Japan kind of needs. And also, one of those big foreigner guys as well. I think Rohei could be a really fun TV champion. Bringing that sort of, more, I guess, Noah, technical style, I guess, to these 10-minute match, 10-minute maximum matches. I would also like it to be on Oiwa, not really Red Narita, because I don't care about Red Narita. Jeremy, what do you think about this three-way for the New Japan World TV title?
Yeah, not a fan of them doing another three-way for the TV title right after they did the three-way with Cobb, Tsuji, and Narita. Yeah. Kind of seems like it's a copy and paste of switching out Tsuji with Oiwa here. And so I think it'll end up probably being a fine match. Personally, I don't want Narita to retain. Yeah, I would rather Oiwa or Cobb win, but I feel like this, Wrestle Kingdom is the moment where normally a lot of babyfaces win. You want to send fans home happy, but I feel like this is the one match where they'll probably try to keep some House of Torture relevant throughout this show. So I could see this almost going down the same way the first three goes down, where you kind of have Cobb and Oiwa focusing on each other, and Narita uses the push-up bar, Dick Togo, lights out all the gimmicks to get the advantage as those guys are fighting each other, and kind of pull a schoolboy on one of these guys and steal the win here.
Especially with the next match, which we'll talk about in a moment. Scotty, thoughts on the three-way?
I always believe in the grip. I'm not doubting the grip. Oiwa, sorry. I'm not doubting him. He's taking this. He's going to hit all the layers. He's going to hit the... Is it called the grip? Does he call his finish?
Yeah. His discus polarity is the grip as well. Yeah.
The grip versus the Gene Blaster is truly the dream.
It's my dream. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm going with the youth. I think this show, except for the main event, should go with the youth. Well, actually, I don't want David Finlay to lose either. Okay, this is the one match I want them to go with the youth. And I think Oiwa getting a title so quickly is a smart move. It's not a New Japan move often. They like to be patient with the young guys. Listen, this guy's coming from Noah. He's not coming from TNA. Sorry, Yuya. He's not coming from Rev Pro. There we go. That was the other one.
Yeah.
He's coming from Noah, where he was challenging for the GHC heavyweight title, and he was doing their top tournament. This is a guy that is a little bit more established, and I think giving him a title, it's just a TV title, but giving him the title, something that I thought they should have done with Tsuji, truthfully, with how his match experience goes, right? That under 15 is the sweet spot for Mr. Tsuji. I think we give it to him. And listen, I know Naruto, this is his first defense and all that, but listen, sold out can lose. Like a night of House of Torture losing is a good night for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Always.
Oh yeah,
That's why they're there.
I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Narita lose. I guess for whatever reason, New Japan is invested in House of Torture and want to have heat at points in throughout their card. And yeah, Narita he's still a young guy and part of the three Musketeers. So
True.
I don't want him to win. I'd be so happy if Oiwa won and kind of following Zach's footsteps with the TV title. But yeah, there's just a bad feeling in my stomach where I feel like Narita is going to steal it.
Gotta believe in the grip.
My fear of a House of Torture losing all their matches is one, I guess they'll maybe win or destroy a bunch of people at New Year's Dash. That'd be my fear. Or two, they lose all their matches and they all leave and start their new promotion in the United States. I don't know. Some of their faction that did that similarly a couple of years. I don't know. I guess I'll be a fan. I'll be a pie ticket holder for House of Torture for PW. Whatever. Let's get into it. But that next match that we talked about earlier, the kickoff for the Hiroshi Tanahashi retirement tour starts here at Wrestle Kingdom is Tanahashi versus Evil in a lumberjack death match. I don't expect this to be a death match in the sort of modern sense, but we're going to get something here versus Tanahashi and Evil. Scotty,
the death match stands for will I fall asleep by the time this is over while I'm watching live? And the answer is hopefully no.
What are you talking about? I mean, look, we're at Jeremy. I don't know if you know this. Ring Post Radio. We are
big evil guys.
We're big evil guys. We're big evil guys, and I was a big defender of Evil versus Tama Tonga several times, if you can believe it. Big time flag waver. And one of the ways that we appreciate Evil around these parts, is that Evil and the House of Torture gimmick works really well when you have just them, sort of the old school Southern Territory style, where it's just beating down the baby face and having a baby face slowly overcome to ideally a thunderous applause from the entire crowd. We saw it, especially with someone with a crowd connection. We saw it with Tama Tonga versus Evil. I would say we also saw it during what was that?
Hiromu in the New Japan Cup.
I would also say, Hiromu, and knocking off Shingo and Tsuji, and then getting to Hiromu. It works best when the babyface gets the ultimate win by defeating however number of 20 different House of Torture members there are. So I expect that to be here. I expect that similar thing to be here. I don't think the work rate entirely will be up there, but maybe that's the lumberjack death match of it all. But I think ultimately having the crowd support Tanahashi, knowing that this is, promoted as the kickoff of his retirement tour, I think the crowd connection will be there. And I think that the emotion of it all could help elevate this to a better match. Jeremy, how much do you love House of Torture? That's my question.
Well, I can't lie to you. I'm not a huge fan of House of Torture. That's not my cup of tea. But I will admit that in the right moments, like you mentioned, they can build that heat and that crowd reaction of I want those guys to lose so bad. And we see it a lot of times in tournaments, like. They'll start winning in tournaments, and especially in round robins, they'll go off, win their first 3 or 4, and then they lose the last 3 or 4 and get eliminated. And you want to see those guys, get their comeuppance. And I think if you've been following New Japan this whole year, I mean, that's kind of been the whole story. It's been like Hantai / the Good Guys versus House of Torture. And we've seen Tanahashi and Umino kind of feuding with these guys, and Hantai feuding with the House of Torture all year long. And so now it's kind of coming to a head with Tanahashi becoming president. And one of the things he's listed out in all of his things he wanted to change in New Japan, he wanted to get rid of House of Torture's tactics and the interference, stuff like that. And so, also you have Evil calling himself the president. And so it's kind of all kind of built from a storyline aspect perfectly to this moment, Tanahashi snapping during World Tag League and getting to this lumberjack match. So I think the match was built great. And I'm not expecting them to go out there and have a 5-star classic, but I think it's going to actually work in their favor with being lumberjack, because you don't have to wait for the run-ins. Like, everybody will be out there. You know what to expect once the lumberjack match. And so I think that will actually play into their favor. And I think we'll have tons of moments where you think Tanahashi's done and they're teaming him up, and he'll come back finally at the end and beat Evil. And we'll kind of have this big happy moment of Tanahashi finally getting his comeuppance on those guys.
Do you think this is sort of the start of where we might get that, Tanahashi presidential decree of, slowing down on interference and everything, do you think like this match is sort of the start of we're gonna like maybe break up House of Torture or find ways to have less interference, in the kayfabe, in the story of the universe, knowing obviously that Tanahashi's president? Do you think this is kind of where that would start?
Maybe. I was hoping because Tanahashi says he's going to put his career on the line early in this match. I was hoping it would have been like career versus House of Torture to kind of really up the stakes, and then if they lose and they disband, they do something different. But as of right now, that's not the case. So, yeah, maybe this is kind of the final stamp of him like beating Evil and then being like, yeah, you guys can't do the interference thing anymore. So we'll see how that goes after this.
Scotty, what do you think about this match, this lumberjack death match?
Well, obviously, the reason I root for Evil is because he's the trophy man of one EO Sky, but that's
a winner in my book. I'll tell you that one.
As I like, my favorite story of WrestleMania is when he was in like a convenience store and someone goes, "Are you evil?" What other man looks like that dressed in a suit? Come on, of course he's evil. Oh my god, my favorite story.
The picture of him finding a seat with a ticket.
He was at WrestleMania. He was there. He's ready to go. I think the funny thing, anytime House of Torture has a big match of some sort, it's like everyone just has the instant dread of like, oh, this is not gonna be good. And listen, this probably isn't gonna be good. I'm gonna be straight up. It's probably not. There's so many different moving parts, and I think Jeremy's right. When you have the interference kind of mixed in already because of the lumberjack aspect, it will already make the match a little bit better. I hope Tanahashi holds true. He brings the aces of all the promotions and gets them all on there. He said he wanted those as his lumberjacks. He wants Kento Miyahara and Kaito Kiyomiya out there. If that happens, I'm in. Like, that'd just be so much fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Kento Miyahara doing his entrance.
Yeah, who doesn't want the dream of Kento Miyahara versus Yujiro Takahashi? Am I right? Like, come on, folks. That is the dream.
Hey, if that opens the door for more Miyahara in New Japan, I'll suffer for it.
Yeah,
very, very true. I will watch this match 10 times. If that
Kento Miyahara versus the evil like House of Torture tactics. I mean, I think that's honestly a perfect. That's like a match made in heaven. Like him doing old school Hulk Hogan babyface.
That's actually the only Kento Miyahara you get in New Japan. He's only facing House of Torture. Not worth the trade necessarily. But in all, I think Tanahashi overcoming and getting the win here is going to be a great crowd moment. And that's why it'll be fine in the end. It's not going to be long. Tanahashi should not be wrestling long singles matches. He's only so limited. I know this is his second to last one, but it's not his last one, so it's okay. I'd have obviously him win and have the celebratory moment in the ring, and hopefully it leads to maybe more of a story to House of Torture than just we don't like wrestling and we're gonna make it bad. A little more to that. I need more, and I hope this is kind of the start of that, because I'll always say Evil, he's a good wrestler. He's just not allowed to be a good wrestler because that's the gimmick. I'm not going to repeat what Dave Meltzer said, but no, I am. Dave said one time during the G1, Evil's gimmick is he's a bad wrestler. Jake Lee's just a bad wrestler. So like, it was one of the meanest things ever. I was like, oh my god. Poor Jake Lee. Hope he gets better soon. I know he's, but yeah, those are my thoughts on that one.
I think Tanahashi getting the big win here only makes sense. Never openweight title match here. Shingo Takagi defends his title against Konosuke Takeshita. Obviously, Takeshita wins. He'll be international champion and the New Japan never openweight champion. Obviously, we'll see how that goes with the defense the next night. But Jeremy, what do you think about this match? Scotty always said sort of in the opening that seeing that strong style evolve match, that tag match with Shingo and Takeshita, mucking up in the ring. Not mucking up, I should say. That's a negative connotation. Fucking balls out in the ring, really, because that was that rule that kicked ass, in my opinion. How psyched, I guess, are you for them to have a singles match here in the Tokyo Dome?
Yeah, I'm super psyched about this match. I'll see. This is the first time these guys are going to wrestling one-on-one. So Strong Style Evolve was like the first time I think they've actually ever had a match at all against each other in that tag team preview match. And yeah, in that preview, they were wilding out and just gave you a little taste of what they're going to do come January 4th. And so, yeah, also you have two guys that kind of grew their names in smaller promotions in Japan. Takeshita, 5-time KOD champion DDT. You have Shingo Takagi, a multi-time champion in Dragon Gate. So built their names up, and also Shingo jumping over to New Japan 2019, and now Takeshita kind of jumping between DT and AEW. And so first time kind of dream matchup here, two top Japanese stars. And yeah, it should be awesome. Definitely potential to steal the show this night and be match of the overall weekend. So yeah, I'm super excited. Shingo doesn't miss in the Dome. You look back at all his matches that he's had since coming to New Japan, and every Tokyo Dome match has been awesome. This guy can get, a close to great match with Tama Tonga in the Dome. Like, he can get it. Imagine what he's going to do with Takeshita. Like, both these guys they're going to go nuts, and it's going to be an awesome matchup.
Yeah, this guy's a freaking Hall of Famer for a reason. Scotty, thoughts on this match? I know you're excited.
Yeah, I've realized in the past couple months that Takeshita has now become like the Osprey ringer for all these promotions. Like, we need a great match. Bring in Takeshita, right? You can't bring Osprey like that anymore because he gets paid the big. But Takeshita gets paid probably big bucks too. But he gets paid. I don't know. He's more free. Okay, Osprey's not as free to just do things anymore. But Takeshita is. And when you see when this match came together, it was like, okay, that's the one that New Japan gives you every year that you just look at and you're like, that's gonna be 5+ stars, right? Like, that's just you're setting the bar so high, and they're gonna hit that bar. It's just a matter of how much further do they go. Just give this match time. I know it's not, I know there's a few more matches after it, so there's a little worry, but I just need 15 minutes. I don't need 25, 30 minute. These two don't need that. And I know they don't need that. And I think they're going to put together something special, there is something funny about Shingo winning and facing Ishii on Wrestle Dynasty. It's not going to happen. But I like the thought of it. But most importantly, I like the thought of Takeshita winning a New Japan title. I think that's very exciting. And if he wins one more, they can make a new Triple Crown in AEW. Oh, sorry. No, but yeah, I can't wait for this. It's probably tied for my most hyped match of the show, but in terms of work rate, it's definitely number one. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think the opportunity of Takeshita winning the Never title just means more Takeshita in New Japan. So yeah, clearly he's winning to face Ishii on night 2. So yeah, hopefully that means that we'll see him a lot more in New Japan throughout the year.
And I imagine definitely at like Battle in the Valley. And, maybe that's where you get the Triple Crown. Maybe it's Konosuke Takeshita versus, I don't know, Ring of Honor World Champion Matt Cardona. Maybe that's the match he does.
Are you saying Matt Cardona's the new version of Nick Nemeth? Please don't. That's so much worse.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Scotty. I'm not going to mind it, but this doesn't have to be a 30-minute epic. This can easily just be a 15 to 20-minute bomb fest. And I fully expect that that's what it's going to be because it should be. That is what these guys excel at the most. And I think this match will be possibly the match of the night. I think, in my opinion, there's a very large chance that this might be the match of the night. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match next. Doki defending that title against El Desperado. Scotty, thoughts on this title defense for Doki against El Desperado? I believe, if I remember correctly, there were some reports saying that he was upset that this match is, I guess, so quote unquote so low on the card, right? I believe he wanted this to be higher, and I think he was not a fan of Hiromu versus Naito, so maybe that's playing in a future title defense or something. But with all that knowledge, what do you think about this IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match?
I'm really happy that Doki gets this opportunity on the big stage at the Tokyo Dome. He's had a great couple years, right? I'll argue he's the best wrestler to give Jack Perry a great match once upon a time on a random episode of Rampage. People may forget where Doki came in and put on a better match than him, Sonata, and Jack Perry put together. That was a questionable match to begin with, but I digress. And Desperado, man, like for pretty much all the time he was active last year, he felt like arguably the MVP of New Japan before he had to go away because of his injuries and whatnot. And it feels like the move is to go back to him because Master Wato's back and the natural story between those two that they were building for Wato's injury feels like a potential place to go. But at the same time, they like to surprise us once in a while, right? Give Doki a big win. I wouldn't be shocked, but I am siding with Desperado because, Desperado only's got so many more of these big matches. I always forget Desperado's a bit older than you'd think because, he still feels new as a main event star, but, he's still great. So I'd give Desperado the big win here, and hopefully they get the time to try and steal the show because I think they have that capability.
Jeremy, thoughts on this title match?
Yeah, this should be a great matchup. Super happy that Doki had such a great year, winning the junior title and beating the face of the division. He already beat Desperado this year, beat Taiji Shimori, beat Hiromu Takahashi a couple times. So they did a great job elevating and kind of cementing Doki as the face of the junior division this year. And so I think it's glad that he's getting his flowers, getting this Tokyo Dome moment. This guy came out of the dirt floors of Tijuana, Mexico, wrestling those mud show indies, to getting a shot here in New Japan. And so, I think it's awesome that he's going to get a shot here at the Tokyo Dome. But I do think that Desperado is going to get the win. He's coming back from injury. Doki's been champion all year. Like Scotty was mentioning, this perfectly could send Desperado in the stories with, Wato, with Hiromu. There's a lot of stuff you can do because I feel like that Death Speed title run got cut short from when he won Super Juniors and getting the title because, he dropped it real quick to Doki and then had the injury. So I feel like they were probably planning for a longer run. So I think he'll get the belt here and kind of run with it in 2025.
Especially with that, if I recall correctly, that title reign seemed like it was leading to some sort of Death Speed Master Wado something, right? So it feels like, if Death Speed wins here, they can just really start that up again.
Yeah.
That'd be my expectation. So I don't know. I think Death Speed to me makes sense as the winner. I'm not going to write Doki out because I think a lot of people wrote Doki out on the last title match. And here we are, Doki in the dome.
Doki Mania.
I was going to say more like the hold on, more like the Tokyo Dome. Is that something? I'll TM that real quick. So that makes me excited. I will say what doesn't make me excited. I was looking up that article real quickly to try to find to confirm that Doki did say those things, and all I see is a bunch of articles written by various websites that say Doki wants to face Sammy Guevara at Wrestle Dynasty, and Sammy Guevara wants a match with Doki. So that does make me slightly concerned. Maybe in some ways that Doki is going to retain and then defend against Sammy Guevara at Wrestle Dynasty. I don't know. Could be just
please
talk, but we'll see. We'll see.
I won't hold back. Please do not do that.
So we'll certainly see, I guess. Next up, IWGP Global Heavyweight Title Match: Yota Tsuji versus David Finlay. Now, Scotty, as you definitely know, we're Ring Post Radio is an evil podcast, but all year long since Wrestle Kingdom, I'll say Scotty talked about podcast. Scotty said that he started off weak on David Finlay and ended strong. I was strong on the guy since Wrestle Kingdom this earlier this year in January. I was super weak on him when he debuted the new dyed beard and everything, and that G1 I think last year. But this year I've been super high on David Finlay the entire year. I thought his output and his sort of move set change to be sort of more of a power wrestler has been a great improvement for the guy. I think he's had great matches pretty much all year, or at least matches that have got me severely interested in. I think I've been loving basically what David Finlay's been doing all year, and now he is defending the title against Yota Tsuji, a guy who when we're talking about these musketeers and all these random young guys, he's a guy that since day one my genes have been blasted. So I'm very excited to see Yota Tsuji versus David Finlay. Now, a concern I do have is that there have been times with Yota Tsuji. We've talked about this on Ring Post Radio where big match Tsuji sometimes is a letdown. Sometimes when he has a big match, he doesn't necessarily pull it all the way through. I'm hoping that the Tokyo Dome third match from the top against somebody that's done really good work, and a power wrestler that can sort of match his dynamic as a wrestler, can work really well. I do have some concerns that it won't all come together with Yota Tsuji, but if anyone can prove me wrong this year, it's David Finlay, and I'm excited to see where this is going to go. Jeremy, what do you think about David Finlay versus Yota Tsuji?
Yeah, this should be a really good matchup. I'm a big fan of Yota Tsuji. I'm a Gene Blast guy. I asked for a Gene Blast towel from New Japan Shop for Christmas. Yeah, I think Tsuji's definitely, out of the young guys, a guy that kind of is more well-rounded. Like, he has a great in-ring, great charisma, seems to be good on promos. So yeah, I think that guy is a star. I do agree with you. I do feel like there are some spots in some of his big matches where you expect it to be a little bit better, but he doesn't fully deliver. And I think maybe sometimes that's maybe the layout of the matches. And then sometimes I think that he's realizing just how charismatic he is. So I feel like sometimes he kind of relies on the charisma versus just going out there and having a crazy match. But like you mentioned, this is a big spotlight for him in the Tokyo Dome. And yeah, I'm a Dave Finlay guy too. I feel like Finlay has had a great year this year. I think the only thing that really kind of derailed Finlay was the whole Nick Nemeth thing at the beginning of the year, because they did a great job building him up, beating Ospreay twice in the 3-way and then the dog pound cage match. And then he gets the title back after the whole Nick Nemeth stuff. And then he's beating all the heroes. He's beating Goto. He's beating Taichi. And so here's another shot for him to beat another hero in Yota Tsuji. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a great hard-hitting matchup. Yeah, hopefully they go out there and deliver. And I want to see Gene Blast get the win here, get his first singles title in the Tokyo Dome.
Scotty?
Me and Tsuji have a up and down relationship. As I once said on this show, I would trade all of them and get rid of them for Oiwa, and I still feel that way. And the same might go for Uemura, but he's not active right now, so
yeah,
we'll have to wait and see how he's looking when he comes back. That being said, a lot of New Japan fans talked the last year. You got to push the young guys. You got to push the young guys. You got to put the young guys in the big spot. Well, they have with Tsuji. They have with Shota. They have put them in the big spot, and it feels like one of them needs to leave as champion. Truly, like it feels like if they both lose, then it's like, all right, well, that was fun. See you next year. I think Tsuji has to be the one to win, mostly because I think Shota Umino has to be the one to lose. I would love to see David Finlay continue, but David Finlay has a road, I think, now to world title matches in his future, right?
Yes.
And
agreed.
Assuming he stays, this time of year in New Japan can be scary. I know. It can be very, very scary. Tony Khan with those AEW ID contracts just ready to go at all times. But David Finlay has put such amazing work in. He deserves this. Ryan got that one late.
I got that one late. I like that one, Scotty.
Thank you. But Finlay has put such incredible work in with the veterans, right? That has been the story. He's been taking out the veterans, Goto, Taichi, goes on and on and on. And he's been such a great champion. I think it's okay for him to lose because of how great of a champion he's been. Because
to lose to a young guy too,
yes,
beating all the veterans, but lose to the young guy.
And then ultimately,
he's going to lose up. Yeah, I think we see in New Japan a lot. Guys lose and they get elevated up the card.
It feels like Tsuji's in the driver's seat of a place that he might have not been because Uemura felt destined for this spot. But that's okay because you have the natural story between Tsuji and Uemura, right? We watched Tsuji win matches with shouting out to Uemura and doing the deadbolt and things like that. So that's instantly a story for Uemura, right? He can come back and go through Finlay, then get to Tsuji, something like that. Because I think Tsuji as champion is the way you should be going. That being said, Wrestle Dynasty, just because Yota Tsuji and Jack Perry has a title on the line does not make it a Tokyo Dome match. Thank you.
Jeremy, I'll ask this question now since you said that you're a big fan of Tsuji. It's a question that we've asked ourselves every once in a while, and it's definitely a question I've asked other people. There are a lot of young guys in New Japan right now. I think there's sort of 6 are the ones that we typically shout out. If you had to rank the 6 young guys in New Japan right now, we're saying,
you like me to list the young guys?
Go ahead, Scotty.
Tsuji, Shota Umino, Ren Narita, Ryohei Oiwa, Yuya Uemura, and I think we include Gabe Kidd as well.
Correct. Yes. We do include Gabe Kidd here. If you had to rank those 6, where were you putting them?
All right. So for including Gabe Kidd, I'm putting Gabe Kidd number 1.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Spicy.
Then I would probably go Suji. I would go Oiwa,
Mhm.
Umino. Who else was left?
Yu Uemura and Naruto.
Uemura, and then Narita last.
Yeah, I knew who was last.
It's whenever I ask this, Narita is always last. You always feel better for the kid. Why Yu Uemura so low? Is it sort of a preference thing, or is it just like you haven't seen enough of him in this sort of mix?
Yeah, I think Uemura is a very good wrestler. I think he is still trying to find himself. You know, he came back with the whole Heat Storm thing, and they kind of threw him in just 5 guys, and it just didn't really click. And they still kind of booked him like he was a young lion. Like he lost a lot of matches. He lost a hair match, and I don't know. I don't feel like he fully found himself. And like even in G1, I felt like he was kind of struggling a bit. Awesome match with Takeshita, but throughout the G1, he was kind of up and down. I think he's still trying to find who Yu Uemura is post excursion, and so in ring he's awesome. But I think as far as like the character and kind of where he fits in the landscape of New Japan is kind of why he falls low on the ranking for me.
That's fair. I think that's a fair explanation, I'll say. Next match, special singles match here. Tetsuya Naito versus Hiromu Takahashi. I think many people a couple months ago assumed that this would be the main event. This would be the main event for the Dome. Not the main event, the semi. But it is official, that special singles match between Hiromu and Naito, of course, your World Tag League winners. Scotty, thoughts on this semi-main event here between Naito and Hiromu?
They might actually hate Zack Sabre Jr. Because this is the meanest thing I've ever seen someone do to a world champion in a long time. This is mean. Like this is a match that has been expected for years, right? It's been taken away from New Japan fans. It is arguably, maybe not arguably, the top 2 most popular wrestlers in the company going one-on-one for the first time. LIJ versus LIJ, Hiromu versus Naito. This is what people have been waiting for. And it's a semi-main event. Like, there's going to have to be something that follows this, right? The crowd is going to be so into this. It's hard to follow Naito as is. I don't care how you feel about Naito's past year. Naito in the Tokyo Dome is going to go out there and do everything in his power. He's getting his 19th eye surgery for this match. He's probably getting his knees reconstructed once again for this match, right? He is going to go out there and put on a show with Hiromu. You can feel however you want about either of these two, truthfully. This is going to be the match that the crowd's going to be loudest for. The crowd's going to be into the most, and it's going to be the spectacle match that you want it to be. And I can't wait for it, just for that aspect alone. It's going to be a lot of fun to see these two go back and forth, and it's coming off a tag league win too. There's just that extra sprinkle, right? I think it would be amazing to see Hiromu win this match, truthfully, because at the end of the day, Naito's like we know where Naito is now. He's on the back burner. He's probably done winning the title now. He did everything he could in 2024 to help push it along, right? Get people in the building because his name is Tetsuya Naito and all this thing. So he had his roll call at the end of last year. Hiromu is in an interesting spot where I think the world wants him to go open weight full time, right? Just kind of do a little bit of everything. He can go back to junior from time to time, but I think he's so exciting wrestling the heavyweights now. Those are the matches I look forward to most with Hiromu. And this is the first example of this is why we should do that. And I think Naito's going to do everything in his power to put on a show with Hiromu, a guy that he's obviously been close with for years. So I can't wait for this match. This is the most Wrestle Kingdom match there is, if that makes sense. It just feels Wrestle Kingdom. You look at it, it's like that is the main event. Sorry to the other two, this is the main event, and I can't wait. And the crowd's going to be incredible for this.
I'm kind of admittedly, I'm kind of shocked that they didn't have like some sort of poll for doing another poll gimmick.
Well, they knew what the answer would have been.
But that's exactly why. Like, right? It's like you expect the poll result would be Hiromu Naito, and then where's that put? I'll say where's that put Shooter? It feels like that would fall on Shooter with the whole Naitoism that is sort of afflicting Shooter right now. It sort of feels like that would have made sense for a lot of these guys, and then you have a reason why the special singles is the main event, the proper main event. I was actually legitimately shocked that they didn't do that. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on Naito versus Hiromu, this dream match for New Japan?
Yeah, so it might not be the quote unquote main event of the evening, but like Sky said, this is the main event. This is the money drawing match. This is what's putting butts in the seats for the Tokyo Dome. To see a Naito even on his last knee, his last eye surgery, he's still the top draw in New Japan right now, and so this is a big money match. And like Scotty said, we wanted this thing for years now. It was supposed to happen at the anniversary show in 2020, and obviously COVID happened. And then they've kind of just, saved this for a rainy day. And so now is the perfect time to pull us out. We needed that kind of big attraction match for the Tokyo Dome. And so here it is. Should be a great matchup. I would be surprised if Hiromu win. I do think that is the more intriguing choice, but just knowing how New Japan books in their hierarchy, I think we're going to see Naito win and potentially, be slotted to get back in the title scene just to kind of have that top drawing star there. But I would love that Hiromu to win and kind of do more open weight stuff. I mean, from a kayfabe, since he always says he wants to stay a junior and have the juniors main event at the Tokyo Dome. So I don't know if they're going to kind of go away from that. And maybe he kind of changes his mind and wants to do more open weight. And because, I mean, during COVID, when he was like in New Japan Cup and in G1, kind of mixing up with the heavyweights, like that was awesome. And I do feel like he is quote unquote big enough to be a heavyweight and look like a credible threat against those guys. And so I mean, that Evil world title match during COVID was one of Evil's best matches during that reign. Yep. So I feel like Hiromu definitely could be utilized in the heavyweight as a star, fresh matchups. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, it'd be cool if he wins, but I expect Naito to get the win.
Yeah. I mean, him and Hanare in that was. And Ryan, you know how I feel about Hanare, but that was very good. I'm not the biggest Hanare fan, but that worked because again, there's something about Hiromu, right? It's what goes with Naito is the crowds are always so behind him, which gets the crowd so invested and makes just everything he does so exciting. I mean, we saw it in the tag league final, how the crowd erupted when they won the tag league. So like, and that was just tag league. This was the Tokyo Dome, that was near falls. They're just going to be going crazy for him, and I can't wait.
Yeah, you got to think if Hiromu picks up the win here, it's we're stamping the open weight Hiromu. I think that's and I agree. I think he's got a good size. I think he works well. In a lot of ways, for me personally, I would like that sort of different scenery for Hiromu. Yeah. Obviously he's been around in the junior division for a long time, so that new level of scenery, moving up, facing more heavyweights, I think could be very interesting for Hiromu. Worst case scenario, if people don't think he's big enough, put a bodysuit on him, put a bunch of fake muscles on him, and bing bang boom, Bob's your uncle, right? He's moving on that legacy of Jushin Thunder Liger like he intended. I think that would be a good idea for both Hiromu and maybe for New Japan as a whole moving into 2025.
I admittedly could see them have him lose and build to a second match where he wins. As well, that is maybe something even smarter if they kind of make that a side story that ultimately becomes a bigger story down the line. Always a thing to consider because I think there is money always in a rematch when it comes to two guys like this. So we'll wait and see.
Plus, with Naito and his various surgeries and what his upcoming eye surgery, you have to imagine he's probably going to, after this match, be gone for a bit. A little.
He did the eye surgery, I think, before the Hiromu match.
Really? Bull. This man's insane.
I think he said.
Because he's not going to be on the road to Tokyo Dome tour because he'll be recovering from the eye surgery. Yeah.
God damn. Okay, well then he'll just come out with some sort of bionic eye. Then I think.
He's already got that. He's had
the man with $1 million eye. Tetsuya Naito. All right, main event of Wrestle Kingdom is in fact going to be the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Zack Sabre Jr. defending that title against one Shota Umino. Jeremy, I really want to know your thoughts on this main event. Obviously, it's a big time main event for, as you sort of laid out already, two first time main eventers, first main eventer of a foreign since probably like 2 years ago, right? Jay White. I'm trying to remember last year. I actually don't remember.
Last year was Sonata Naito.
Sonata Naito, yes.
See, I think Jay White might be the last Foreigner.
Foreigner. Zack Sabre Jr. obviously, I think, has been sort of the success story of New Japan this year. That proper elevation from sort of a mid-card role into, the G1 Climax win, into winning the IWGP World Heavyweight title. And then in a weird reflection, you have Shota Umino, who kind of had a, solid year of 2023 going into 2024. And then things kind of just started falling apart for the guy, it felt like, where now you're getting this point where the crowd is interested in the guy in some capacity, but when it comes to the world title picture, the crowd seemingly rejecting the man. But here he is main eventing the Tokyo Dome. Plus, with the whole, sort of Mox connection and facing Claudio the next night, do you think this is sort of the start of something for Shota Umino, or is this just going to be maybe more of the same and just a fun title win for Zack Sabre Jr.?
I hope it's a start of something for Umino. I think he has the tools in ring. I think he proved that, like you mentioned, in 2023, especially with his series with Will Ospreay. I think he had a great series of matches, especially the last one he had with Ospreay. He looked like an ace, looked like a star. That 40-minute classic, like I was like all in on Umino, and then you go into 2024, and it's been a hit or miss year for him. And part of that is booking, and part of that is just him in general. And I feel like this year did him no favors to be in this main event spot. You look at his year, he's been kind of feuding with House of Torture all year. Yeah. He kind of had a lackluster G1. He didn't really win any big feuds. He didn't really have any big, like, monumental wins. So he kind of comes in as this lame duck challenger, just kind of backslides his way in this matchup, and the crowd's rejecting it because, like, what did he do to earn that? Traditionally, we've kind of been conditioned, the G1 winner gets a shot, you get your big build to a Tokyo Dome that way. And also they switched stuff up this year and had Zack challenge a King of Pro Wrestling and win. And that's fine. You want to shake things up. They should have found a way to elevate Umino to get that match instead of him just kind of coming out after, not being in the G1 finals, not even making to the semifinals, and, not being in New Japan Cup final. Look, what did Shota Umino do to, like, in the fans' eyes, like, get to this main event status? So I feel like the booking on that really hurt him. And then plus, there's also rumors of stuff that he's done behind the scenes that kind of hurt some of his booking as well.
Yep.
So I feel like this year was just not a great year for him. Zack Sabre Jr. has been having obviously an excellent year. Finally winning G1, winning the world title, getting Tokyo Sports MVP award, which is very rare because foreigners usually never win that award, no matter how good they have of a year. Kenny Omega hasn't won it. Vader didn't win it. Stan Hansen, like, you can look at all the foreigners that probably should have won it in history and just didn't. So kind of a big shout out there for Zack Sabre Jr. and obviously great, awesome wrestler. And so I think from an in-ring standpoint, this is actually going to be, I think it's going to be a great matchup. But I just don't know how the crowd is going to react to this match, especially following, like Scotty mentioned earlier, following Hiromu Naito. How invested is the crowd going to be in this match? What's their energy level going to be like? And are they going to get fully bought into this match? And so, they're both talented. I think they have the skills to have this be a great main event and a great matchup. I just don't know, how invested the crowd's going to be at that point. I do think that Zack's probably going to retain. I think it'd be a very bold and ballsy move to have Umino get the win and kind of test him out as champion going into the beginning of the year. But I think now's the time to have him fail here and kind of, Gato loves tragedies, kind of have him fail here and kind of rebuild in 2025 and maybe give him some of those moments. Have him win New Japan Cup, have him get to the have him win the G1 and kind of give him a reason to get back to that world title scene.
Yeah, I wonder if this could also just be a summation, like cementing the idea of maybe a heel Shota Umino as well. The guy is starting to build momentum and get over in the sense of a crowd rejection, Like, I wonder if it's one of those things that it is like a breaking point, a snap, and maybe this is like the unveiling of a new big time heel for New Japan, especially if they're sort of not downgrading or anything, but sort of like downgrading evil House of Torture. If that theory holds true as well, maybe they need another big time heel, and maybe Shota Umino is that guy. I don't know personally, but I guess it remains to be seen. Scotty, what do you think about this main event? IWGP World title here. Zack Sabre Jr. defending against Shota Umino.
I've had a very up and down run with Mr. Shota Umino. He was the guy I believed in most at the beginning of all this, and this year made sure I didn't believe in him much at all by the end of it. But I look back into history, one of my favorite Shota Umino matches since he's come back. Ones with Zach have been high up on that list, and I think it's tough because I don't know, is the crowd going to be uninterested because of what's before them? Is the crowd going to still boo him out of the building, him being Shota Umino? It's kind of like, we'll see when we get there type thing. Like, what is this really going to feel like once they make their entrances and they step in the ring face to face, main event, Wrestle Kingdom? That's ultimately where I'm at. There is no way, no world that Shota Umino should win this match. Like, it would be criminal. Like, Zack Sabre Jr. needs to be the first foreigner to walk out with the main event win at Wrestle Kingdom. Like, it needs to happen. Like, this is it's kind of scary to think about, like, honestly, because I feel like Zach, right, and all the work he's put in this year and the past couple of years to get to this spot, you don't want to rip that away from him. And I feel like the only way it would be ripped away from him if he was leaving. And I don't think he's leaving. He is so committed to New Japan and making it his own. He just won the Tokyo Sports MVP after all. Like, this is a guy that I think New Japan's behind, a guy that I think the fans are behind. And I think this is a moment for him to really have his moment on back-to-back nights defending the world title against two very different competitors, but two that ultimately feels like he has to bring up a little bit because of reactions to them. But I think that's kind of exciting for Zach in many ways. So I'm hopeful that this, lives up to a Wrestle Kingdom level main event, and Shota Umino can reach the levels that he has with, say, Will Ospreay, for example. We've seen him have that great match, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know he can have that great match. And who am I to doubt Zach, right? Like, Zach's, one of those guys that, he's had such an incredible year. I'm not going to doubt him now that he steps into his biggest match ever. So should be fun. Should be fun to witness. It's like
I sense trepidation. I sense trepidation.
I can't sit here and say, like, oh, this will be a guaranteed locked in great match, because honestly, this is one of those where I do think the crowd's going to matter a lot.
Yeah.
If they're quiet and there's no noise, it's going to be like, right, like, that's not good. And that's kind of what I'm more scared of than anything else, just because of what they're following. They're going to be, the crowd's going to be so tired from the feelings of the previous match, right? So fingers crossed for these two that they hit a home run, and for New Japan they hit a home run, because they went with this. They're believing in Shota to deliver. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will definitely see Wrestle Kingdom January 4th indeed. Now let's move on to sort of a different vibe, a different feeling. January 5th, again in the Tokyo Dome, Wrestle Dynasty. This is that co-promoted show with New Japan, AEW, Stardom, CMLL, and Ring of Honor. So big time show, I guess, as well. Big time show for AEW, certainly. And I guess I'll ask around the horn as well, starting Jeremy. Again, an excitement level. You're super high on Wrestle Kingdom. How are you feeling at Wrestle Dynasty right now, with what the card has been presented to you?
So yeah, on paper, it looks like a great card. I would say the build's been kind of weird. It just feels like, somebody turned on Fire Pro and hit random a couple times and shot out some matches. And,
gonna get one main eventer from AEW in that randomizer.
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's hurt. You're getting a lot of, upper mid card guys facing off against New Japan guys. You're not getting your tippy top, John Moxley's not coming over, no Swerve, no Ospreay, no Okada. So you're not getting a lot of those tip top guys, which is kind of weird. Especially, you would think that to capitalize on drawing guys, you would have Okada on this card, you would have Jay White on this card, you would have three guys that made have been in Tokyo. You think they would be on the card, but we are getting Kenny Omega the return of Kenny Omega, so that is awesome. And I mean, like I said, on paper, there's a lot of great guys on this card, there's a lot of great matches on this card, but the build is what's kind of hurt this for me. So a little bit less excited. I would say I'm probably more of like a 7, maybe 7.5 for this card. I mean, it's probably going to end up being a great show, but just how we're getting here just seems weird. And yeah, the lack of star power from the AEW side hurts it a bit. But again, at the end of the day, it should be a great card.
Yeah, you're missing some of the sort of those newer AEW people, those newer AEW stars of 2023, like you said, Swerve, Mox, not really, but still, you are missing Mox. Ospreay and Okada, obviously, are also weird. Jay White, what are you talking about? He can't be here. He's been what is it, excommunicated from New Japan, so he can't even show up, I guess, technically. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to discount the idea of Kenny Omega, even to a certain extent, the Young Bucks as well, as sort of a Japanese draw, right? I'm not going to necessarily discount it too much. It is Kenny Omega. It is his return match after over a year at this point, right? This is going to be an important match, I have to imagine, for the New Japan fans. Totally agree on the build. Build's been a little wonky, especially on the AEW side. New Japan, it feels like there's been some build as well, but it feels like kind of the only build that I kind of remember are only like videos that have been posted online. It's like social media stuff. I don't really hear a lot of people talking about it too much. I mean, CMLL feels like they're barely involved here. Ring of Honor, I think, has one person. And Stardom, I believe, has one match, right? One, I guess, technically 2 people, right?
Though Mina is AEW, but we'll act like that too.
Yeah, she's stepping out very, very quickly, it feels. But I guess also the Ring of Honor person being Athena, I guess there's also someone that could be stepping out of Ring of Honor very quickly. But like I said, I think the build has been a little bit weird. I fear that it will have sort of that like New Japan Noah Wrestle Kingdom vibe show where it's like, here's just sort of a weird show over here that's like, it's going to be pretty good, really good to great or something, but like it's kind of just a weird show that's being put over here rather than a proper fun built a Forbidden Door even or Wrestle Kingdom Night 2 or something like that. I fear that it's just going to be sort of a sideshow attraction to a cool Tokyo Dome show. Scotty, what are your thoughts on Wrestle Dynasty?
The show should be happening anywhere besides the Tokyo Dome.
Oof.
That's my thoughts on this match. The show. I honestly, I don't think anyone would bat an eye if it wasn't in the Tokyo Dome. Truthfully, I think everybody would be like, "Oh, this is a fun show. Like this is good." But the Tokyo Dome is sacred, right? The Tokyo Dome is a place where there's a lot of prestige to it, and when AEW is not willing to send over their prestigious guys, it feels second rate, and I don't like that. It is insane to me that Kazuchika Okada is not on this show. Like when they announced this card, I was like, well, there you go. You got the Okada Tokyo Dome match for the year because you needed one. I don't see him announced. He still could be. And I hope he is.
By time this episode comes out, Continental Classic is over, I believe, right?
Yeah, the finals are at World's End.
So
it's definitely a choice to wait to announce the biggest possible draw.
Well, he might not be Continental Champion, right? But also
I don't care if he's not Continental Champion. He can wrestle a match.
Good point.
Like that's my thing. I did see AEW just announced Kenny Omega's returning, not at this show, but they did announce he's returning
to AEW nice. Television.
Which
Perfect.
Is great.
All right,
awesome. Don't acknowledge when he's returning in a match at Wrestle Dynasty against Gabe Kidd. Don't do that. I mean, ultimately, let's be honest. What is driving the interest of the show? It is Kenny Omega. That is the hook, line, sinker draw of the show. There'll be a lot of good matches on the show, but it's hard for me to invest when it feels like not all parties are invested. I look at this show and I said, what's going to be the best match? It'll probably be Kenny and Gabe, but again, Kenny's been out forever. Like, I don't know what Kenny looks like now. Kenny's getting older. I feel like Father Time, we kind of ignore that with Kenny because Kenny, the last time he came back, was still incredible. This is a lot, and I don't want to just assume he's going to go out there and have the 5-star match. I think that's unfair to him, truthfully, but he's going to try because he holds himself to that standard. There's also something funny about Tomohiro Ishii being the gift at the end. It's like, you guys can wrestle the night before. I will wait. Which, and he's been kind of disconnected from New Japan the last 6 months, so he's in. You see my point. Like, everything just feels like there's a disconnect involved one way or the other. The lack of CMLL, I think I said it 3 times, is upsetting because I think when all 4 shows were announced, like, 5 companies, sorry, Ring of Honor. Yeah, 4, 5.
Oh, look who forgot one promotion.
I forgot Ring of Honor. I knew I was going to forget Ring of Honor. That's okay, because that's the same company. But I'm going to keep my hopes up that this show over-delivered. It kind of feels like AEW All Out 2023, where everyone's like, whatever. It's right after All In. Who cares? Like, we'll build it in a little time, and then maybe it just over-delivers because the wrestling's so great or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. It has the talent to over-deliver.
Yes.
There's a ton of great wrestlers up and down the card, and also, you anchored in the elite in there with Kenny and Gabe and the Bucks against Ocon and probably Templario. Those matches should be great, and there's a lot of great guys on here. So I do think, from an in-ring standpoint, it does have the potential to over-deliver.
Yeah, and you'll get Ishii and Takeshita probably, which would be great, right? Brody King and David Finlay should be great. Like, I think that'll be a lot of fun.
The gauntlet match that just recently announced, it's kind of like a casino gauntlet kind of rule with New Japan CMLL guys. Like, that should be a lot of fun. So, there's going to be a lot of fun stuff on this card.
And Mercedes gets her Tokyo Dome match, which obviously is very exciting for her. I know. So, when she stepped into Tokyo 2 years ago, I think she thought it would have come a lot sooner. But she had to wait a little extra. Yeah. But I'm happy for her as well. So, maybe I'll get into the show even more as we talk through this card.
Well, let's talk through that card. Starting off with again, we don't know the card order at this time. I sort of suspect that we won't know it until the next day, the next morning, I guess, after Wrestle Kingdom, right? Because you have, obviously they're going to announce, which of these stuff are going to be title matches and all these sort of things. So I sort of suspect we'll get the match card order the next day, but I guess we'll find out. But we'll start off here. 8-man Lucha Gauntlet match. Now, updated participants: 4 New Japan, 4 from CMLL. Enter at 1-minute intervals. First pinfall or submission decides the match. So sort of a what is the AEW gimmick called?
Casino Gauntlet.
Casino Gauntlet. Thank you, Jeremy. Sort of a Casino Gauntlet here, but 8 wrestlers that we know from the start for New Japan, for CMLL. Scotty, are there any, I guess, people that you would be interested to see win this fun little match? Any CMLL wrestlers you're interested in seeing here? There's not much really the preview of this.
Obviously, I want Mystico to win. Come on.
Oh, man, you got to get Mystico.
I want Mystico to come in last, hit the La Mystica, and leave. That's the dream.
That's the most Mystico thing ever.
Yeah, like, that's the dream. Oh, you want me to show up to the Tokyo Dome? All right, as long as I can clap, hit my 3 moves, and get out.
And then he'll spend 10 minutes clapping hands with the fans in the front row, and they'll be like, "All right, we got next match." He's like, "No, I gotta say hi to everybody."
We got 10 matches to go, Mystico. Get out of here. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, it should be fun though. Like, it legitimately should be fun, depending who they put in this match.
Yeah.
So I am looking forward to it. I kind of hope they keep it a mystery. Part of me does, like, because no offense to this match, but this isn't going to be the match that sells tickets. So it's okay if they keep it a mystery, unless they want to announce like Mystico and Hiromu or something. Get 2 big guys in there, and the rest is a mystery.
Jeremy, any thoughts about this Lucha Gauntlet?
Yeah, it should be a fun matchup. I mean, I like the Casino Gauntlet style matchup that AEW's been doing. All those matches have been really fun. And so, yeah, I agree with Scott. Keep it a mystery, do a mystery vortex kind of thing here, and kind of get the fans to pop as people come out. From the CMLL side, I mean, Mystico would be cool. Also, maybe Teton will probably be a guy in there. Wouldn't mind Zandokan Jr. Let's see, Templario will probably end up being the tag match. Barbario Cavanario would be a good guy to kind of pop up in here. So yeah, CMLL has Ultimo Guerrero, Stuka Jr.
Big Hetchy, you have to imagine Big Hetchy Hechicero might show up as well.
Yeah, Hechicero, yeah. So there's a ton of names that they can pull out that would be a lot of fun. So hopefully we get some of those. And on the New Japan side, maybe Hiromu, Despi, Doki, some of those guys it should be fun.
I think CMLL can bring over a lot of fun people, and I'm also just thinking about like all the people that will be in town, and I feel like New Year's Dash could be very fun show. Now that I think about it, with all these CMLL guys coming in, all these AEW guys coming in, it feels like this could be a very fun show if they pull New Year's Dash together and they convince Mystico to take a fall. No, that's not gonna
happen. That's definitely not gonna happen. He already let Hiromu beat him. That was enough.
Next up, for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, but possibly the undisputed British Women's Championship as well. Mina Shirakawa versus Mercedes Moné. So we could get that triple crown that you've been dying for, Scotty, with Mercedes Moné holding the New Japan, TBS, and the undisputed British Women's title from a
I think triple crown in wrestling. I think of those 3 belts.
What do you think about Mercedes Moné versus Mina Shirakawa?
It's fine.
Doesn't wet your whistle.
Here's the problem. You can't do the Hazuki match and then be like, here's Mina Shirakawa. Like, okay. Like, listen, I like Mina. I know Mina's AEW bound. I think the world knows she's AEW bound. So, like, could have done this match in AEW. You know, like we could have got one of the other Stardom talents on here against Mercedes, but it's okay. My ultimate thought is this is cool for Mercedes. I'm sure she handpicked Mina. It's very clear who she picks. She picks all her opponents. She knows what she's doing. And if you want the pomp and circumstance, if you want the excitement, the charisma to pour out in this match, you're getting that. That's what these two do. They're very charismatic. And ultimately, the way Mercedes has been going lately, I do think that they can deliver a good match here. So it's not who I would have picked for the big Mercedes Tokyo Dome match, but it should be fun. It should be good. And it'll be a cool moment, honestly, to just see Mercedes wrestle in the Tokyo Dome. It's another feather in the cap of her incredible career.
Jeremy, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the live show charisma that this match will bring?
10.
Whoa, Sean Spears is showing up? Special referee.
Yes. There'll be a lot of live show charisma in this matchup. But seriously, this should be a fun matchup. I mean, obviously, the Mercedes Suzuki match was incredible, and I don't expect it to hit those heights. But Mina's been doing a lot of good work, especially in AEW, and Mercedes seems to really knock out the park when she's in there against Joshi talent. So should be a good to great match, maybe a 4-star level. Don't expect that if it gets higher, great, but probably won't. But yeah, I mean, like Scotty mentioned, good for Mercedes. Coming back from the injury to finally kind of get this big moment here, and she just feels so much more authentic in New Japan / Stardom than she does in AEW. So yeah, should be a good matchup.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for this match. It should be interesting. I agree with all of you guys. I mean, Hazuki is also just a different level of wrestler. I think Hazuki is easily like MVP of Stardom through a very tumultuous transitional year for them as well, obviously. She's sort of been like my MVP for Stardom. Mina Shirakawa, it makes sense why she's in the spot. Obviously, you're appealing to that American audience. She's been, as Dave Meltzer put it, not Dave Meltzer put it, but she's been appealing to the U.S. audience, if you will. In more ways than one. But it makes sense why she's here, and it makes sense that she's probably going to lose. It's Mercedes Moné. It's in the Tokyo Dome. She's probably going to lose Mina's probably going to lose the title to Mercedes, and that's fine. We'll get that triple crown. That's totally okay.
Well, the TNT's not on the line, so like
the TBS.
The TBS, whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. Same thing. The channel one.
Sure.
So like if there was ever a surprise win against Mercedes, it could happen. I don't expect it to. But I'm just saying, like with that belt not on the line, the other two being on the line, you never know. But if Mercedes wants to go to England that bad, then
We'll see.
Yes, I guess give it to her.
13th anniversary show for Rev Pro next year. Maybe that's really long away. I guess that'll be August technically. That's a really long time
she
away.
Can hold it. She can hold it as a nice
Rev Pro high stakes. Maybe we'll get a Mercedes Moné appearance.
I'm sure. Yeah, Rev Pro won't complain about having her on a card. That'll be like their best.
They'd willingly give up months of title defenses to that happened once, I think.
Yeah.
Right? It kind of be like Kenny Omega winning the TNA title. It's like, well, it's just to look cool, it didn't need to happen, but it looks cool.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, I agree with you, Scotty. Mina, Days of Stardom feel like they are numbered. It feels like she is currently on a sort of Yoshiki Inamura NXT deal, if you will, for Mina Shirakawa and AEW.
Listen, that's different. I think Stardom likes Mina. I don't think Noah likes Yoshiki Inamura.
That's true.
They send that poor man away all the time.
They actually told him, "Yeah, you can just stay there. It's fine." IWGP Tag Team Title match. Young Bucks returning to New Japan in the Tokyo Dome. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, of course, versus Great Okan and Sally Hanare, who, in my opinion, has had a really great year. A year that's really elevated him in my eyes into a really outstanding wrestler. Sally, not able to make this show, not able to make it, out with injury. And by the looks of it, by appearances, and maybe by some slipping of, I think it was social media posts by CMLL, it looks like the replacement for this might be Templario, new United Empire member. So Great Okan and Templario versus the Young Bucks seems like the likely spot for this match. Jeremy, of course, we'll start with you. What do you think about this match? With the assumption, I guess, that it would be Templario.
Yeah, first off, I gotta say, I also bummed out for Hanare. Been a big fan of his, and I thought he had a really great year this year, and finally winning the Never title and defeating Shingo. And I thought this would have been a great moment for him to kind of get this Tokyo Dome matchup against the Bucks. So they're really bummed out he got hurt and is gonna miss it. Templario's an interesting ad for United Empire. I did not see that one coming, but he looked really good teaming up with Jacob Austin Young at Strong Style Evolved, and you throw the Bucks in there for a lucha guy, it's going to be great. So I think it's a great kind of guy to plug in there for that matchup. And I'm a big fan of the Young Bucks, and I'm glad to see them here on this match. I think they're probably going to end up winning the tag team titles here, just from the little seeds they planted at Strong Style Evolved. They hit the super kick on Hiromu, which makes you think that Hiromu and Naito are eventually going to challenge Young Bucks for a big tag team title match. So should be a great matchup, and expecting the Bucks to steal it here and get the tag titles.
They did win World Tag League, and they aren't challenging the titles here, so it would make sense that, I guess, whatever the next show, maybe it will be Battle in the Valley. I don't know. I guess whatever the next show will be.
Hiromu's already plugged in for Battle in the Valley.
Oh, you're right.
They're doing that Sumi Sakai six-man retirement, so maybe it'll be like New Beginning, Saka, whatever the New Beginnings are, and the end of January, February, they'll do that.
Okay, well, I guess we'll stay tuned for that. Scotty, thoughts on this tag team title match?
It's nice to see the Young Bucks show up to work. All I got. They're winning, so that's probably why they did show up to work. I like Templario in this match. That's exciting to me. I like Templario a lot. Obviously, it's unfortunate for Hanare, who's going to have the big Tokyo Dome match against the Young Bucks, and unfortunately, he, hurt his knee, which that show is crazy just to read about. I didn't watch the show, but just all the kind of catastrophic things that happened, freak injuries too.
Him and Newman back to back was crazy. Yeah,
that's insane to me. So it sucks for him, but Templario is going to step up and step into a spot that I'm sure he was like, "Oh, I'm in what faction? Oh, okay.
I gotta wear what color?"
All right, sounds good. But if this means more Templario in New Japan, that's a good thing. So that's kind of my main takeaway. The Young Bucks should win. Young Bucks and Great Okan, just like I expected when Wrestle Dynasty was announced. It's a weird combo. But clearly they've made a lot of pivots because they were planning Kenny and Tanahashi versus the Young Bucks, and then that just kind of disappeared and it became Kenny and Gabe, and now it's this match. So Young Bucks versus Hiromu and Naito is a good payoff in the long run, whether that be New Beginning or please don't be Dominion. Like, I don't think we need to hold the titles hostage that long, but you never know, I guess. Or Forbidden Door. But again, I would rather see the Hiromu Naito win in Japan, please.
Yeah.
That would be much better. So we'll see.
I guess they could still technically do Omega and Tanahashi versus the Young Bucks, if they wanted
Yeah,
to
they
do
could
that.
do that as a title challenge for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move right along. Singles match here. I don't believe this is one of those singles matches where a title could be on the line. I believe it's just straight up non-title. This is David Finlay versus Brody King. I don't know.
No, it could be.
It could be. I thought there was a stipulation that was just straight up non-title. I thought it wasn't. There wasn't a thing.
No, both the Suji and this one.
Okay, that's what I assumed as well.
Yeah.
But so then there we go. If we're sort of betting maybe a Suji win, then this would be a non-title match, just a special singles between Brody King and David Finlay. We've already spoken the high praises of David Finlay on this show. Jeremy, any thoughts on Brody King? Any thoughts on this matchup between him and David Finlay?
Yeah, I think Brody King's awesome. I think he's a very underutilized guy in AEW. Like, he's a big monster guy, does cool stuff, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that fits with Finlay, who's kind of been more of a bruiser brawler as well. So you're going to have two guys in there kind of bruising and brawling. Obviously, Brody's a bigger guy, so it's going to be interesting to see how Finlay kind of overcomes that. But yeah, it should be a good match. And unfortunately for Brody, he's not really a pushed act in AEW. He's kind of a mid-card guy, and they kind of use him when they need. When one of the House of Black guys won't show up, he's the one guy that does. And
or
so
you throw Darby around a little bit,
right. And so this match probably could have had some more juice if there was some more build and if Brody was used better. But it is what it is. It should be a fun matchup, and expecting Finlay to win this one.
Scotty?
Yeah, it's a good way for Finlay to kind of get momentum back if he's losing the title the night before. Sure, it would have been cool if this was Jay White, though. Just saying, a lot of story there.
He can't work New Japan. What are we?
I know.
Spanish.
All because of Talatonga.
You gotta thank Tamatonga for this. Remember?
No, Talatonga.
Talatonga.
It's his fault.
Where is he? Why is he not showing up in NXT yet?
He's learning how to work. He's learning how to work in the PC.
Let's be honest. You don't actually care where Hikuleo is.
Sure, yeah, that's fair.
My ultimate thought is this should be a very good match. Could be one of the better matches on the show. If they click, but it's a very different style match for Finlay, like Jeremy said. So we'll see, because he's not the big bruiser in this match this time around. But they could have the most interesting match just because they're so different from pretty much everyone else on the card as well. So we'll see.
A match that I think we can all definitely agree is going to be a special singles match: Claudio Castagnoli versus Shota Umino. Scotty, I already know that you're not excited for this match. You don't really care for this match. Any thoughts, I guess, on Claudio versus Shooter?
Does Moxley not like Japan anymore? Like, why is he not on this show?
He's scared of Yano. We know this.
He's traveled to New Japan so many times over the past couple of years, and now when there's a big Tokyo Dome show featuring AEW, he can't. And don't say because of his gimmick. I don't care. He can go because of the gimmick. He can show up. He doesn't need the title. He doesn't need the briefcase. Maria Shafir in the briefcase can come along if they want. Like, it wouldn't have been that difficult. But maybe they're saving Shota and Moxley for, I don't know what else, but something else.
Forbidden Door, maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe. Because to me, the Tokyo Dome's bigger than that. But
yeah,
what do I know? It's fine. Yeah, this match is fine. I don't. Shota Umino probably wins to get. Well, no, it's Claudio, and is Claudio the most protected AEW wrestler on here besides Omega?
I mean, Claudio did go down the CMLL, was it last Friday or 2 Fridays ago, and beat Hechicero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shota back-to-back nights losing would not be great for him. So
it feels like it would fit his story, though.
It would. Yeah, it would. I'm very interested to see where Shota Umino is after 2 nights, for sure. Like,
yeah,
is part of his heel turn being Death Rider associated again, or is he not turning heel at all? And we're just gonna keep fighting against the fans. That'll be kind of the fun aspect of this. But at least Claudio's in Japan. That's pretty cool. I've been wanting him to be in the G1 since he left WWE. And I haven't got that yet, but he'll be good in this moment.
Jeremy, any thoughts on this special singles match?
Yeah, like Scotty, I thought it was kind of weird that Moxley wasn't the one in this match, and like there's been all this build. Also, they had the title match earlier this year in May in Resurgence, so it would have been a great kind of return match to have here. But yeah, clearly there's probably plans for that later on in the year. So yeah, it should be a fun matchup. I mean, Claudio's been a little bit disappointing in AEW this year. I know part of that's probably still him being a heel, but I'm sure, yeah, in Japan he'll be motivated and excited, and so yeah, should be a fun matchup. I mean, I kind of want Umino to win this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does lose because Claudio is so protected, and then you can do the whole downfall of Umino, and he has to really rebuild to get back to the main event.
I would have really loved if this was Shota Umino versus Pac.
Ooh, yeah, that would have been fun.
That would have wet my whistle here. Nothing against Claudio for sure, obviously, but I just think that Shota and Pac would have had more of an interesting wrestling dynamic.
But
There's
an odd feeling towards Claudio lately.
Yeah. It's not that I'm like
Jeremy was on to something. There is some disappointment.
There's a vibe. There's a vibe.
He was really good because Claudio was really good last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean he's getting older. I mean he's getting up there, and
yeah, that's true. I always forget Claudio was like 40 plus.
43 years old.
Yeah, that's like
all those 05 Ring of Honor guys. They're getting up there now.
They sure are.
I don't have a transition. I was going to say, speaking of Ring of Honor guys, I don't think any of these. Well, Kenny Omega was in there at one point. Special singles match: Gabe Kidd versus Kenny Omega. We sort of talked about this. This feels like the biggest match of the show in a lot of ways. Of course, the return match of Kenny Omega being out of injury for a whole year plus. And then you have Gabe Kidd. Jeremy, I'll start with you. Gabe Kidd's your number one of the young boys, I guess. What do you think about this match, Gabe Kidd versus Kenny Omega?
Yeah, super pumped for this match. I mean, Kenny Omega is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and so very glad that he's going to be getting back in the ring after having a year off with a diverticulitis. And yeah, I'm very big fan of Gabe Kidd. I think he's been doing great work. I think he's great in the ring. He has his character. Like, he's the one guy that kind of does this, like, I'm crazy gimmick, and I actually believe. Like, I believe like Gabe Kidd would run up to me on the street and like punch me in the face if I said something wrong to him. Like, that guy just comes off that crazy on screen. And so I think he's done an excellent job kind of creating the Madman character and making it believable, kind of being one of the standout guys in the Bullet Club War Dogs. And so obviously there's a lot of kind of story here. It's the one match they actually have been building up. There's been a lot of back and forth between these guys on Twitter and promos with the backstage fight thing that happened between them as well. And so they're doing a lot of promos, a lot of interviews. Gabe Kidd's been calling Kenny out. And so this is definitely the most heated, interesting match. You know, normally on January 4th, we would have kind of like the Japanese main event and the Western main event. Well, this kind of feels like this is like the Western show, while like 1/4 is a Japanese show. And so this is your big Western main event that's going to get a lot of eyes on it come January 5th. So yeah, super excited. And I think the most intriguing thing would be to have Gabe Kidd get the win here. Ooh. And go with the Puro trope of, Kenny's coming back from injury and not 100%. So you have Gabe Kidd kind of take advantage of that. And I think there's a better story to have Kenny kind of have to get back to 100% and chase Gabe Kidd. And maybe you do a big rematch at Forbidden Door. It's going to be in London next year. And so kind of in Gabe Kidd's hometown, have Kenny face him there. So yeah, I think that, it'd be more intriguing to have Gabe win. But I think most people are expecting Kenny to win.
Yeah, I'm certainly expecting Kenny to win. I agree that I do like the idea of Gabe getting the win. That would be a cool, fun surprise, a cool sort of shock win. I don't know if they'll do the story of him like earning back to 100% because they also kind of did that last time when he came back. So maybe let's just reverse it. Maybe he just comes back and just destroys Gabe Kidd. And just 5 minutes, a classic Joshi
20 V triggers.
Yeah, a classic Stardom and Tokyo Dome match. This match is 5 minutes long. So and just 20 just spamming V triggers. I don't know if that's a good idea for Gabe Kidd, but that would be certainly interesting. I definitely agree with Kenny Omega getting the win here. Scotty, you're not a big fan of Gabe Kidd, Scotty. I know you're not. How are you feeling about this one?
Well, Gabe's interesting to me. He's very interesting because, like, I understand when he's in there with an opponent, he can have a great match. I love him and Kaito earlier this year. There's a match that I legitimately love of his in New Japan this year, and I can't think of it. Now I'm upset.
He had a great match with Zach this year.
Yes. Yeah, he had a good year.
Yeah.
Like I know that. He's just his madman tendencies can be a little over the top for me sometimes, but I think Jeremy was right. Like, it's believable. Like I do believe he is that. Like that is Gabe, and I fully believe that. And I'm very into this match, not just because Kenny's coming back, but there is a story to it. There is build to it. There is something actually to this match, unlike pretty much everything else on this card. And this feels like someone that Kenny wants to face, which I think is another step further. This is Kenny's big return match, and he's going against Gabe Kidd. That means something. Win or lose, that means a lot for Gabe Kidd in his future. As Kenny once said recently, this is where the best wrestle, not the company he actually works for. This is where the best wrestle. And that's why he's returning here and not in AEW first. It's so clear Kenny just wants to be in Japan. I don't think like he could show it anymore. That elite, like, we have to be together at all times thing hurts him the most, I think, because he's like, I want to be there. Like, I want to go wrestle big matches there. And I think this year we're going to get a lot of them. I think Kenny Omega sat at home, watched Bryan Danielson get all these matches in Japan. It was like, what about me, Tony? Why don't I get those? Why don't I get to keep going back? So this should be the start of Kenny in Japan a little bit more this year, at least for this show, Dominion. Like, I want to see Kenny in New Japan more. New Japan fans want to see Kenny in New Japan more. It's the least you can do for taking Okada and Ospreay, okay? It's the least you can do.
I was gonna say is that like I'm hoping that this might mend that bridge between New Japan fans.
It won't. They took Okada.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The New Japan fans' like hearts were broken when obviously the writing was on the wall of Ospreay, but Okada left. I was like, oh crap, oh no, and it felt like obviously hearts were broken. And I definitely know New Japan fans who fully from that point on rejected AEW. Maybe this Kenny Omega, maybe even the Young Bucks, if they're winning the tag titles, maybe this can start mending some of those bridges, mending some of those hearts. I guess we'll see. We'll see exactly what happens there. Next up, International Women's Cup fatal 4-way match here.
What are you, John Moxley?
The winner receives a women's championship match from the participating promotion of their choosing. So far, we have Willow Nightingale from AEW, Athena from Ring of Honor, and Persephone from CMLL. Stardom, however, at the time of recording, has a 16-woman tournament, I believe.
I have a great bid for this. This is
perfect. Good. Scotty, go right ahead.
It's good. So the match is Persephone from CML versus Athena from Ring of Honor,
of course,
versus Willow Nightingale from AEW versus either Hanan, Yuna Mizumori, Saki Kashima, Momo Watanabe, Shuri, Saya Ida, Rana Yagami, Fukigen Death, Koguma, Waka Tsukiyama, Tomoka Inaba, Rina, Konami, Suzuki Hina, or Aya Sakura. You get all that?
I think I did. So hard to figure out who's going to win the Stardom side there, but I don't know. Does anyone have any big vibes about who could win this one, Scotty? I guess we'll start with you.
Wait, win the Stardom side or the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Because it won't be the Stardom version. It'll be Athena. I think it's going to be Athena or Willow. I think there's a story there if Athena wins, obviously, right after being in Ring of Honor purgatory for the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it feels like. Her getting a shot and then being like, I want Mercedes, I want Mariah, right? Like, it feels kind of easy to do that, and I think it's something to certainly consider. Willow in the same boat can kind of maybe go back for Mercedes if she were to win. I don't think Persephone's winning. I think this is just CMLL kind of getting their new person that they're really behind into a big match, which is good. they're doing the right thing. They've lost Stephanie Vaquer. We don't care about the other person they lost, but they lost Stephanie Vaquer, and that was a big deal, right? And they've been building up Persephone in the meantime, as well as La Catalina. They go with Persephone here, so it'll be interesting to see who does that. If I had to pick a Stardom person to be in this, though, I would prefer Shuri would be in this match. It just would raise it up.
That'd be awesome.
Shuri and Willow would be great. Shuri and Athena, like, listen, Athena, you've been saying a lot lately. You want to go to Japan. You want to face all these people. Well, this is your chance. I want you to start here, work yourself onto another show, and we'll get going. You know, I love Athena. I want that to happen. I've been upset that Athena's kind of been wasted all year. All right, you know, she should have lost the Ring of Honor World Title a year ago. Truthfully.
Yeah.
But here we are. Hopefully, by the time this comes out, she has lost the title to Billy Starks, and she's on to new things in AEW and beyond. So I think Athena wins.
And I think you're wrong. I think it's obviously going to be Fukigen Death. Jeremy, Jeremy, who do you think has a good shot of winning this International Women's Cup?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Athena or Willow. I do think Athena probably makes the most sense because she's probably dropping the title to Billy Starks at Final Battle. And then her and Mercedes have kind of been going back and forth on Twitter a bit as well. So yeah, the winner of this gets a title shot of her choosing. So yeah, I could see, like Scotty said, Athena winning and then using that to cash in on a TBS match against Mercedes and be the one to finally beat Mercedes for the TBS title.
Oh, sounds too perfect.
You said the phrase cash in, and then I thought of Athena holding the Christian Cage briefcase gimmick thing.
She's gonna get a Wrestle Dynasty briefcase to carry around on Dynamite.
That does not excite me. It does not excite me.
I don't think it'll be a cash.
Well, she'll declare. She'll say
she better.
There is something incredible about the idea of like a Stardom or CMLL wrestler holding a cash-in.
Like Tony Khan going up to Shuri, being like, "All right, now you have to carry this around all the time." That'd be wild. I think Athena makes sense. Obviously, you know, going over to Mercedes, I think makes a lot of sense for a lot of different people. Willow, I think, also makes a lot of sense. I think after such a great outing with Chris Statlander at All Out, I expected her sort of getting that title picture. Obviously, injury then happened, and now we have this sort of opportunity, plus sort of the culmination of Willow Nightingale as sort of this, you know, global superstar, let's say, by going into Stardom, by going to CMLL, by going to even Ring of Honor, by going into AEW. It sort of feels like the culmination of that whole vibe aesthetic of Willow Nightingale culminates here by defeating every other top wrestler, quote unquote, of all the other promotions. It makes sense for Willow in a lot of ways for me. I would like Athena. I think it also makes sense for Athena to get the win, and this is how she gets out of Ring of Honor, in a weird way.
Gets out of Ring of Honor.
Breaks free.
Breaks free. She yeah. I do have some like weird concerns there in regards to all of this Ring of Honor TV talk. You know, maybe they don't want to get Athena out of Ring of Honor.
Please don't do this.
I know. I'm just saying.
Well, they have Jericho again, so I mean, he can be the
good point. And Matt Cardona too. You know.
Yeah.
But I think Willow for me makes the most sense as just sort of the culmination of the year that she's had, getting a title win here. And honestly, I think going after, I would like to say Mariah May, but it's probably going to be Mercedes. Makes more sense with that story. Plus Mariah May, obviously on the crash course towards Tony Storm in Australia. So we'll sort of see what happens there. Next matchup, singles match, probably.
So many matches on the show.
We got 3 more. We're almost done, folks. We're almost done, guys. Strap in. We're almost done. I'm sorry. This one possibly for a title: Yota Tsuji versus Jack Perry. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this match between Tsuji and Perry?
Yeah, I mean, it should be a fine matchup. I mean, Jack Perry, the scapegoat, hasn't really been killing it in ring. I feel like he had better matches as Jungle Boy. And I mean, I'm a big Tsuji guy, but I just don't know how these guys are going to gel. I didn't really get a ton of the feel for it in the tag match because Jack Perry was just kind of powdering the whole time and kind of avoiding Tsuji. So I'm not sure exactly how they're going to click. I mean, if they just have a straight up match, I think it could be very good, but I don't know if, you know, Jack Perry's still going to be affiliated with House of Torture and how that's going to play out. And I mean, I think this match could disappoint just with timing and the two guys in it. But I'm expecting Tsuji to win night one, so this will probably be a global title match. So I'm expecting Tsuji to then beat Perry here as well.
Plus, I think they're sort of starting seeds of, I think after that Strong Style Evolve promo, that sort of planting seeds of maybe Perry eventually leaving the Elite.
Yeah.
So we'll sort of see how that culminates as well. Scotty, thoughts on Tsuji versus Perry? I sort of echo the same sentiments that Jeremy just said. Big match Tsuji again. There's concerns there. Perry, hot and cold this year in terms of his wrestling output. So I really was not a fan of him versus Daniel Garcia at the last pay-per-view AEW, 2 pay-per-views ago, I guess technically. So I have concerns as well. This is a title defense. This could be high up on the card as well. So maybe there's something good here, but I have concerns for sure. Scotty, thoughts?
But I don't even want to see this in Korakuen Hall, let alone the Tokyo Dome. But we're getting it anyways.
What about Shinjuku first ring? What about that one?
Shinkiba first ring? Or
Sure.
Shinjuku face.
No.
Shinjuku face is the home of Sariism. Pay some respect.
Fair enough.
Sorry, gotta get my stuff off here. Tsuji wins. That's about all I know because I watched him pin Yota Tsuji, Jack Perry, on the Strong Style Evolve show. I was gonna get there. This match is the one I look at. I'm like, I am not excited for this at all. Like everything else, I can find positives. I just don't see these two gelling well enough to create an interesting match. But the real question is Jack Perry still part of House of Torture? Because I mean, House of Torture on the show.
I think
I assume
he never left.
Yeah. It's the question of whether or not, like, when he joined the Elite, did he leave House of Torture? I don't think.
Oh, baby. That means Jack Perry's winning then. Sorry, it's gonna happen. The house always wins. They may have not won night one, but night two they come back around. This is actually the turn. Remember when Jack Perry kind of slighted the Young Bucks on Strong Style Evolve? It's because he's house forever. That's why. That's actually why. I've connected it all. If Yota Tsuji doesn't beat this guy in like 10 minutes, I'm gonna be upset. Thank you.
All right. Next up, never open weight title match here. Shingo Takagi or Konosuke Takeshita, whoever wins that match on, I was going to say night one, at Wrestle Kingdom, is going to face Tomohiro Ishii. We sort of all agreed that, Takeshita might make more sense in this
Shingo
spot.
would be funny, though.
I'm not going to say no to Shingo versus Ishii, of course.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
But I'm also very much not going to say no to Ishii versus Takeshita. So we're all sort of thinking it might be Takeshita versus Ishii here. Scotty, what are your vibes for this match?
It will be great because Konosuke Takeshita has been, I think, maybe the most consistent wrestler when it comes to just the big match as of late. Ignore the Ricochet one. As Dave called the filet mignon. He called it filet mignon. I'm just saying.
Hold on, why? Why did he call it the filet mignon?
I don't know. But this is
Dave. Does Dave not like filet mignon?
He liked that match.
Well, then he started saying it was like too much steak or something for the show. I don't know. Something like
too much steak. The phrase is always too much sizzle. What do you mean?
Dave's a funny guy. Okay,
Dave's more of a ribeye man. I think we can all agree.
I think Takeshita and Ishii will be excellent. I do, and I think Takeshita winning back-to-back nights is huge for him. It's great for him to see more Takeshita in New Japan. That is what I want, because Takeshita in New Japan, just a different beast overall. That G1 run was incredible, and I think him getting this spot, getting this title, maybe hopefully coming back more often than the AEW wrestler often does, because he also works DDT. So when he comes back, he could do New Beginning and DDT show, right? He can come back and do what's the pay-per-view after? If he's in New Japan Cup, then we're talking different things. But I love Takeshita. I love what he's done this year, and I'm looking forward to what him and Ishii do. Hopefully Ishii's healed up a bit. I know he was really feeling it. You could see it in his matches towards the end of this year. That's why obviously he wasn't in the G1 and so on. So hopefully in the big match, Ishii can bring out one more big time performance, which I'm sure he will with Takeshita.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a banger. It's Takeshita, Big Tom Ish, two of the best big match wrestlers there are on the Tokyo Dome stage. So, yeah, they're going to go out there, and it's going to be, part 2 of night 1 with Takeshita and Shingo. They're going to go out there, throw bombs, big lariats, big knee strikes, hard-hitting, never-style matchup. Should be awesome. Yeah, I'm all in on Takeshita winning, being double champion. You get more Takeshita in New Japan, like Scotty was saying, which will be a great, because, I mean, he's just a phenom, and he just, as a young guy, he just really stands out, even above. I would put him above all the young guys we were talking about earlier, as far as his presence and in-ring.
Agreed.
And so I think he'd be a great asset to New Japan in 2025. Plus, it kind of helps with the international field, the international title. And he can actually kind of defend both titles in America, in Japan, and kind of go around the world defending both titles. And so, I think it'd be a great thing for Takeshita to have the win. So yeah, this probably will be one of the best matches on this card, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Again, I mentioned rebuilding that sort of AEW bridge for the New Japan fan. We're talking Omega possibly showing up in New Japan a lot in 2025. Takeshita winning a whole damn title. The Young Bucks probably also winning a whole damn title. You have to imagine that these guys are going to show up a lot more and, hopefully give something back after taking so much from New Japan. So it feels like maybe that's this continuation of that. Yeah, I think Takeshita versus Ishii should be a goddamn barn burner, right? I think it should be a fun, great match. I think this match is going to be full of fillets, maybe New York strip, maybe. We're talking meat. We're talking meat. Very good match. I'm very excited to see what this one looks like. Not as much excited as the Shingo one, but still very much excited for it nevertheless. And then probably also your main event for the IWGP World Global Title. This is our, for predictions hold true. Zack Sabre Jr. defends that title, presumably against Ricochet. Jeremy, thoughts on this match? Thoughts on Jeremy back in New Japan? And thoughts on him main eventing the Tokyo Dome versus Zack Sabre Jr., presumably.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird pick to come over against Zack in a big main event, especially because, I mean, I love Ricochet as far as the in-ring worker, but they really haven't been pushing him super hard in AEW. He's still kind of been kind of an upper mid-card guy. He's potentially joining the Hurt Business and going to be turning heel, and they're kind of slowly kind of building him up in AEW. And yeah, it just feels like kind of a weird guy to go against Zack at this stage right now. But I mean, they've had plenty of matches in the past and Evolve and all over the indies. So I think it'll be a great in-ring matchup. It's just kind of a weird pick to go against Zack and have a world title match and to close out the Tokyo Dome. Just, I feel like why not like Zack and Swerve or Zack and Mock? Like, I don't know. I feel like there could have been a bigger match for Zack. But ultimately, I think it'll be great. I mean, Ricochet, he did get a great reaction when he came out and attacked Zack in that post match, and I think the fans will be invested and like him, and so yeah, should be a fun match.
And I think probably at this time, if that heel turn does happen, it will probably have happened by now. You have to think, plus with the attacking Zack Sabre Jr., that has sort of that heel vibe energy to it as well. So maybe we're going into this with a heel versus face Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricochet match here. I agree. They've always had great matches on the indies. Pick a company, I guess. And I'm definitely excited for that in terms of match quality. Is this the first time the Tokyo Dome is being main evented by two international wrestlers, two foreigners in the history of I'm trying to think.
Wrestle Kingdom. Well, it's not Wrestle Kingdom. Never mind.
Sure.
I'm sure that there was probably something in the 80s when you had like Stan Hansen and Vader and Terry Funk. There's probably like
let me look into the history of Bob Sapp real quick. Hold on.
maybe if it has,
you can laugh, but I am not kidding.
But even then, if we're talking about that, we're talking 30, 40 years, or maybe the first time ever. I think there's something to that as sort of a historical significant main event, right? Mm-hmm. Match should be really great. It's just the weird thing of the connection is lost. We're saying that the match could be really good to great. We're saying that it might even be a very historically significant main event, yet there's something lacking. Scotty, what is the thing lacking for you for this main event?
I'm not. I have not enjoyed.
I have teed you up properly here. So.
That does not help. And I just watched a video. I watched a quick clip of Ricochet get absolutely bullied by the Hurt Business on Dynamite.
Oh,
so
great!
Nice.
So it's not looking good for Ricochet all of a sudden. The thing for me is that there's nothing that pops about Ricochet for me. Okay, like had Ricochet returned to Dragon Gate, where that would be a big deal because one, that's kind of where he did a lot of work and got over very big there, and it would be a big surprise. And it's this is the Tokyo Dome main event. Couldn't give Zach I don't want to name people, but Will Ospreay. If we're gonna do foreigner versus foreigner, what would do something big? Will Ospreay, and I understand you can't beat Will Ospreay, but listen, I've watched Will Ospreay get pinned 20 times the past 2 months alone, twice, but still. Obviously, it couldn't be Danielson. I get that. Maybe that's what they were holding out hope for before Danielson's neck just gave up. And I wouldn't be shocked if that's what they were holding out hope for. Right? There was a story there, right? 1 versus 1, tied
neutral
game and all
ground.
that. Yeah, I mean, it would have been neutral in terms of the shows being AEW and New Japan, so it would have been simple. Ricochet and Zach just aren't a combo that I'm excited for in present day. I feel like Zach's here, and Ricochet's here at this stage of their careers. Listen, Ricochet can have a good match, but again, if you're going to do a big AEW wrestler in there for an IWGP World Title match, I want it to feel like an IWGP World Title match. And I know some AEW fans will be like, "Oh, shoot, Umino's in the main event of the night before." I get it, but that's building for New Japan. That is what New Japan's trying to build up. This match is just a match. This isn't building anything, So I would have liked to see someone else, but at the end of the day, they're going to do everything they can to put on one hell of a match because, again, that is what these two have the mindset to do. If this is the match that I walk away, I'm like, okay, Ricochet might be back. That would be great. That truly would be great because I think there's a reality where Ricochet is just not that guy anymore that everyone brings up, right? When him and Ospreay faced off, it's like, oh, can they reach that height? It's like he's a different wrestler now. He's older. This is just how things go. We'll see. Yeah. Maybe Zach's style will work better for him because his high flying will jump out a little bit more because Zach's not that kind of guy. We'll see. I'm not going to go into this thinking, oh, this is going to be bad because I want it to be great. And I don't think it can be bad, truthfully. Again, this is going to be the big main event. If they put Kenny in the main event over this, though, I would not blame them. Truthfully, at all.
Yeah.
Or if Okada sneaks onto this card, right? I still think you should just do Okada and Tanahashi on the show and just be like, here you go. But I would have announced that 2 months ago to sell tickets. So I don't think we're getting that. We'll see.
Scotty, you said Zack Sabre Jr. was up here, right? And Ricochet was down, down here, so in the frame. Shota Umino. Where's Shota Umino in this disparity? As a main eventer of the Tokyo Dome.
No comment. By the way, Bob Sapp did not face another foreigner. It was his only. I think he had 2 singles matches in the Tokyo Dome, or 3, or 4. Holy my god! Never mind. He had multiple. Shout out to Bob Sapp. That's my guy. Shinsuke Nakamura beat in the Tokyo Dome. So.
Wow. Wow.
Sorry. There's your history lesson.
Yeah, that is. Oh man. Well, that's it for Wrestle Dynasty. Of course, that's the full card that we know of it. Obviously, there may or may not be more matches, or obviously confirmations regarding to the Stardom tournament or something like that. So we don't know everything that's going to be happening at Wrestle Dynasty at the time of we recorded it, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be the bulk of it. Maybe we get 1 or 2 more matches. Is maybe a pre-show? I didn't even think of it a pre-show. Maybe we'll get that as well. I presume they'll be getting that as well. I also think, if I'm not mistaken, what time is this show? I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
it's at a pretty good time for us.
It's earlier in the day for Japan, so roughly 7 or 8 p.m. or something for like for us, I believe, in the States, if I'm not mistaken. Should have had that ready to go, but that's fine. So yeah, that's Wrestle Dynasty, that's Wrestle Kingdom, and that's our special episode of Ring Post Radio. Jeremy, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Obviously, we're going to roll out the red carpet for you. Sean Evans, this camera. Jeremy, tell the people what you got going on. Give us some plugs.
Yeah, so like you guys know, I am one half of Keeping It Strong Style on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. You can catch us there every Tuesday. We have the individual feed, or you can subscribe to the network feed. Get that show. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/KI Strong Style, where we do bonus audio. We do the weekly video live stream on there as well. Ad-free audio, so you can get that on the Patreon. You can follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky at KI Strong Style. We have our year-end awards coming up. By the time this episode comes out, this Ring Post Radio, our awards ballot should be out for that, so you can vote in our year-end awards. And yeah, I think that's pretty much. Oh, choptees.com, chop-tees.com/KI Strong. So if you want to get some Keeping It Strong Style merchandise.
Perfect. And then I feel like I should also ask this on the tradition of Ring Post Radio. Jeremy, we always do this gimmick, match of the week. We always do. It is technically a Ring Post Radio episode. Along with the plugs, Scotty and I always give our match of the week. A match that you watched in the past week. It doesn't have to be a match that happened in the past week. If you watch some, as I typically do, some 1960s bullshit, then it could be that. So if you have a match of the week, I'm putting you on the spot, didn't prep you for this in any capacity, but if you have a match of the week, what would that match be?
I'll go with Mercedes Moné versus Hazuki from Strong Style Evolved this past Sunday. Just excellent matchup. So if anybody has not watched it, I'll definitely go out of your way and watch that.
Now, Scotty, I also just randomly thought that we should also do match of the week, and now I have to remember what the fuck I watched this past week. Scotty, in the meantime, while I'm thinking of things, hit us up with some plugs and hit us up with your match of the week.
Yeah, just to be fair, we recorded like 3 days ago. I didn't have enough time to watch other wrestling. So when I say mine, it's going to be like, ooh. Anyways, actually, no, I did rewatch some stuff. Ooh, saved. Yeah, plugs. So this comes out, the 29th?
Yep.
If you're listening to this, I'm probably doing a Stardom Dream Queendom review today. So you're going to want to listen to that on YouTube, likely on the Fight Game Media Network. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll talk about Tam versus Saya Kamatani and everything else that's on that show. It should be a lot of fun. You want to tune into that. I also have an awards going on. We do the Joshi Awards every year. This will be the third year in a row. We'll do Wrestler of the Year, MVPs for the major companies, Match of the Year, and all that good stuff. So that ballot should be coming out on January 1st. We want to wait because Joshi waits till the very last day. Sometimes it's nice, like if you cover New Japan, like for Jeremy, you could just, if you're doing New Japan Awards specifically, it's like, oh, we're good. We can just send these out.
Yeah,
I have to wait till the last day. It's tough, but I'll be sending that ballot out as well. So if you want a form, I'll let you make sure you get that form, and a bunch of other stuff coming up. This Friday, I'll be going live for Margot first stream live review as well. Busy time of the year, and then me and Ryan, of course, will be back sometime this upcoming week for a review of all the big shows from the first half of the Japan celebratory 2 weeks of greatness that I like to call the best weeks in pro wrestling. My match of the week, oh boy. So I did have a joke match for fun, because you're gonna be like, why did you watch that? And it's because I wanted to. Okay. So I did a tag team draft this week, and I jokingly on a different podcast, No Limit Podcast, go check it out if you'd like, and I so desperately wanted to pick Deuce and Domino. And I didn't get to pick Deuce and Domino because we were going for the win. Whatever. Deuce and Domino, they were all about cool, of course. So I watched Deuce and Domino versus Brian Kendrick and Paul London, of course. That was not that great. It was like 9 minutes long, but I did rewatch CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre Hell in a Cell this week to save me. So I did watch that. That would be my match of the week, since Jeremy took my Mercedes Suzuki pick, so I can't pick that. Yeah, that's the other thing. We can't double up. So I had a. But shout out to Deuce and Domino and Cherry. That was the real crew. That was the first heel tag team of when I became a wrestling fan. they took the belts from Brian Kendrick and Paul London, I was devastated as a kid.
I was gonna say, are you including Cherry as part of this tag team?
Of course, I'm including Cherry. Cherry was the MVP.
Gotta have the cherry on top.
Exactly. Because like Deuce wasn't good, and Domino was okay.
Which one was
Snuka?
Snuka? Which one was Snuka's kid?
Deuce. Yeah.
Deuce,
The son.
Yeah.
I'm happy I got Deuce and Domino pop on a New Japan live show. This is great. Wait a minute, they should bring in Deuce and Domino. Okay, I'm done.
Face the Young
World Tag League 2025.
Woo! They're still wrestling. They're still in the Indies tag teaming too.
I would love to know what Deuce and Domino are looking like in the year 2025.
Well,
because they weren't looking great in 2007.
We'll find out at World Tag League next year, I guess.
Yeah,
they're all about cool though.
So. My plugs. Follow Countout wherever you can. We're basically on all the social medias. But of course, countoutpod.com on Blue Sky, I believe, is technically the profile account. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, yada, all those other ones. Patreon.com/countoutpod. The first episode of Hustle Loyalty Retrospect will be coming out in January. Of course, that is the John Cena 20 plus year retrospective series on his career. The first episode talking about his start of his life and then 1999 and 2000. And we'll be going every 2 years, every month throughout 2024. So make sure you sign up for patreon.com/countoutpod. In that same breath, the ballot coming out of the Patreon, coming into the main public feeds. The ballot will be coming out in January as well. First episode of the ballot is going to be about Ted Boy Marino, Brazilian wrestler. Of course, is the ballot. This is discussing all the first-time wrestlers that are joining the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame ballot for next year. Ted Boy Marino is a very interesting, very great case. A great episode with a guy that's literally written the articles on the Hall of Fame cases of Ted Boy Marino that sort of discovered and arguably why he's even on the ballot in the first place. Verb Abrams joining me on the show for the ballot. So that's the first episode. A great conversation. Definitely go check it out and learn something. Why don't you? My match of the week is going to be I watched the Real World Tag League from All Japan this literally earlier today. The main event, obviously, the finals of the World Tag League, the Saitos versus Davey Boy and Kento Miyahara. Molten hot Korakuen Hall. Everyone wrestled great. Davey Boy putting on his working boots. Kento obviously working that great 80s Hulk Hogan style, babyface style against the two giants of the Saitos.
Great Hogan style. That's never been said ever.
Well, no, that was Kento Miyahara has actively said that he was influenced by Hulk Hogan. That is an actual quote from Kento Miyahara.
Personally, that's not something I'd say, but
yeah, I wouldn't say that either, but
But he's working this sort of style against the two ginormous heels, kind of heels, baby faces really, in the Saitos, who also the Saitos have had a great year, arguably tag team of the year with the Saitos in All Japan as well. So a great melting pot of what you want in wrestling, and you got it in the Real World Tag League from All Japan this year. So very excited. Go check that out for sure. I believe that's everything we have going on. We do also have our award show thing happening, but that's happening. We have private voters for that this season. That's called we already talked about that, I guess, last week. Technically, that's the Best Around the Globe awards that we're doing. So that's happening right now. I think that's all the plugs we got. So again, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on to Ring Post Radio. Scotty, I'll see you next week. See you later this week. Until then, we'll talk to you all later. Goodbye, everybody.